Boy, we got a show for you guys tonight. It's going to be a great show, guys. I appreciate everybody here. Outstanding time of the year. The games are kind of coming in. We used to have to wait till October, November, December for this. We don't have to do that anymore. Games are coming out from early January straight throughout the year, almost to a point where we don't have a chance. If you don't beat these games in the 2-week window, it instantly becomes backlog. It's just the way it is. I see everybody kind of trickling in. Please, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We are really cruising right now on this channel, and I think a lot of it has to do with also the reaction show that we've been having on Monday night that's been getting really good success on that. And I've actually been working on a few things behind the scenes, hopefully getting a couple of videos out. We'll see what happens. Not as great as a couple of the people that are on the show tonight. Those guys are machines with these videos. I can't keep up with those guys. The great Jimmy Harrison says the super chat's working. The best damn podcast. Let's go, Jimmy. By the way, it's not Jimmy. It's the great Jimmy Harrison is here. I really, really appreciate that. The great Zuby Tech is here. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning somewhere, and Zuby's here for us. Domino Zero says the super chat's working, brother. I appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much. If you will take a few moments, right below that like and subscribe button is that beautiful description. And we happen to have an author on the show tonight. So I'm no author, but that's one hell of a description I wrote up. Right above that description is the join button. If you guys would consider joining the channel, it really, really does mean the world to me. Special thanks again to DC Gaming and Kratos99 who've been graciously gifting subs out to all the people in the chat. It's been unbelievable. I just can't say thank you enough. I'm humbled. That being said, I have to say what's up and thank you to each one of these Mooch Maniac family members. Let me start with the great Sir X-Man, JudaZuk, WoolleyGamer, who's here as well, MumbleRanting Gaming, Tyson Web 509, TrueWiddy, Big Chuck 777, Alphonso Carter, BRAP, who you're going to hear from soon, Jamie, Damion, the great Jimmy Harrison, Andy Hart, Isaac Gentry, Red Hood 420, Hamsolo05, Rob Jones, DadOfWar, Night Ripper 7, Totodope, Kratos 99, Thumbs, JC 2013. Jay, we got to get another name for you, but I love that you're here, buddy. I appreciate it. Get This Work is here. Get This Work. Ice Queen Gaming, Arch War Angel, RP Gaming, Passive Profit, and our major Mooch Maniacs. Great to have this man's name on the list. The great Matty Beast, PS Rewind, GTI Bro, Freddy214, Ghostface, True Virgil, Zero Steel, Stephen J, Truth Serum, Dark Prince, Zuby Tech, Raji, Julian Johnson, my man Julian's back, Gavin House, Captain Crunch, T-Rock 40, Derek A, Low Key Poppy, Cridge 91, Portal Forever, Sammy Prescott Jr. Sounds like a musician, I love it. Brian East, Audible Fart 507, that's also just a phenomenal name. Gadget, Mr. Me, I'm Enriched the Swag, Mr. Dean, Tarantino, Vibes Worldwide, PlayStation Trophy, Jack Reeves, Versus, Manquisitor FD, Sergeant 12, Seattle Chef, Muck 45, Michael Kimona Jr., Nola Origins, Newtonian, your boy Roy, I see you out there, your boy Roy, I appreciate you being here, buddy. The Scolari brothers are both here too. Smokes 901, DC Gaming, Miko, Gaming with Persona, and Jay Barry, who are back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern with What's Up PlayStation. Guys, go over and check them out. That is a phenomenal way to start your Saturday. Cup of coffee, talking video games. Two of the best in the industry. Supreme Samurai, Tactical Gamer, Danelle Brown, that guy Smitty, 4-Star General, Brian B, a.k.a. Delirium Blades, and our VIP Mooch Maniacs, our newest one, Snoop Will Poxgate on. I love it. Love the name. Domino Zero, Marty the Ambassador Bison, Shadow Assassin, Strictly. Shout out to Strictly Gaming, the Wise Old Gamer, and our honorable mentions are out there without food, water, or toilet. Come home. Brosy Brosum, Chris 713, Percolator 9000, Hustle, Motivate, Slaying Chilean, and our Forever Mooch Maniacs, Longshot 316, and the great Optimus Code. That being said, guys, I see all you guys out there. I see all those green names popping up in the chat. It means the world to me. Thank you guys so much. But without any further ado, you guys might know him as Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. But tonight, folks, he'll be known as Sony is Scared or Bill Spencer. Depends on how he's feeling. The great BRAP is with us. BRAP, how you doing tonight?
I'm shaking in my boots.
You sound really frightened.
I'm scared.
You should be.
Very scared.
That's what happens, BRAP, when you're just, you got to get off the internet. You got to get off the internet because it's probably not that bad. I don't think it's that bad.
I don't think it is either, but I'm scared.
Well, I got news for you. At least 2 topics are going to get into why you're so fearful. That's what we're going to talk about tonight.
Yes.
So, BRAP, it's great to have you tonight, buddy. I've got a list of great guests here. You guys, I got to be honest with you, I'm excited. He said, I'll see you around 8:30. But I got to realize he is Italian, like me. And every time we mention anything with time, It's way off. So he's here on time. The great Worry Wart's with us. Worry, you've been absolutely electric, on fire on your channel, buddy. A lot of traction, too, on Twitter. How you doing tonight?
I didn't know that we could be known as something else, like BRAP is known as. What is he known as tonight?
Tonight, Sony is scared.
Okay, I want to be known as I don't do Windows Central. Can I be
Oh,
that?
you could change your name to anything you'd like.
All right, great. I'm good. I'm just a little,
Great to have you,
a little
Worry.
aggravated with some of the nonsensical that are popping up that are just ridiculous, but we'll get into that.
Not nonsensical, you say, Worry.
Yeah, nonsensical.
As in people having insight to the emotional well-being of a corporation or an individual?
Not that.
Not that.
Yeah.
No.
It's a little nuts.
Well, we're going to get into
That's
it. I
cool.
promise you both that. You guys saw the topic, so the audience doesn't know, but you guys know. The reason that I actually had this next guest on, I got to be honest, is exactly what you guys were talking about. The great Supernova Gaming is back on the show. And, Nova, I got to say, I'm just excited that you're here tonight because this is one of those episodes where we definitely have some games to talk about, and we're going to get into it. RE4 demo. We're going to talk a little bit about Forspoken and what's going on there. But there's a lot of been going on with the whole ABK deal and some other things.
Right.
And Nova, you have been nothing but loud on this, and I love everything you tweet and say. Nova, welcome back to the show. How you doing tonight?
Thanks for having me, man. It's been a while.
It has. Too long. My fault, by the way.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I'm glad I'm here.
Well, good to have you guys here. I appreciate that. Well, now I've got two new guests that haven't been on the show before, and this is exciting for me. This is someone that I really do. I have a lot of respect for. He's an author. He writes books. I barely read them. Okay? I barely read them. The great Ramon Terrell is with us. Ramon, I want to say it the right way. Is it Ramon? I want to say it the way it should be said. Welcome to CrossFire for the first time, buddy. It certainly won't be the last. How you doing tonight?
Yo, I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. And I love the way you go the exact technical way to pronounce my name, Ramon. But
Yes.
if you do wanna just go relax, you can go Ramon. As long as it's not Raymond, I'm good. But
No, we
it's
won't go
awesome
there.
that you actually know how to pronounce it.
No, we will not go there. And honestly, to be honest, it's funny because that's the thing. Whether it's Spanish, Italian, whatever, you got to roll the R. People have to start to roll
Absolutely.
the R. So I will do that as much as I possibly can. I see that the audio is good. I always like to make sure the audio is all right with the audience. You guys are super important. The audio has to be crisp. But Ramon, good to have you here tonight. We're going to get into a lot of great topics. And last but certainly not least, Gamers Gamut. We've been talking back and forth on DMs for a bit. And I said, I got to get this guy on the show. And he's been doing more and more content on his channel. He's also been very active on Twitter. So Gamut, welcome to Crossfire for the first time, buddy. How you doing tonight?
Good, man. How you doing? I really appreciate the invite. I wasn't expecting that. That was a pleasant surprise this morning.
Well, I'm glad you're
Ready
here,
to-
buddy, and I got news for you. I know that you're very opinionated, and that's what you're here to do on Crossfire. So go ahead and feel free to shout out anytime you want, as well as the audience, guys. If you have anything to say, please type it in there, and we'll get to your questions. I'm going to go ahead and I like to put our guests on the hot seat first. So I'm going to start with the great Supernova first because I just can't wait to hear what he's got to say. So Supernova, I'm going to go ahead and just start with Starfield here. So we got a little snippet this week from Todd Howard and Bethesda. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and play the game like I'm shocked. I've said it on the show many a times. I thought the game was going to come out in October, November, just because you have a May release date for Redfall. There's no way you would want to absolutely sabotage one game and have the next game come out in June just because you said you were going to do it. Whether the game was ready or not, you would sabotage the other game regardless. Starfield is bigger than Redfall, even though both are new IP. But Supernova, honestly, I got to ask you, how will this game fare in your opinion? And from what you're seeing and the delays that have occurred from 11/11/22 to the first end of 23 to now we're at the back end of 23, what do you think of Starfield as a whole? And what do you think of these delays as they've kind of sparsed out over the past, 6 months?
Yeah, I'll tell you. At first, I was excited for Starfield because I love the Elder Scrolls. I
Yes.
love Fallout, and when they announced Starfield, I was like, "Yo, okay, this is going to be like Elder Scrolls or Fallout in space with spaceships and guns and aliens." I'm there for that. And then we saw the first gameplay, and it looked, it was, it wasn't that great. It was a little rough, but the thing that got me worried was when they said that it was going to have like thousands and thousands of procedurally generated planets, and I was like, "Oh no, okay, this is going to be a problem." Like, I would much rather there be 7 planets, and they are artistically designed from corner to corner. Then some shit it's like then something that a computer randomly threw together thousands and thousands of times. Like we've seen No Man's Sky. Those planets after like the first how many all look exactly the same. And that's another thing, this game's gotten a lot of comparisons to No Man's Sky. I'm not really trying to do that. I'm just saying that when you're procedurally generating these things, they lose a lot of that specialness to them. So that's the thing that I really worry about. When it comes to the delays and stuff, I'm not really that concerned. I know that this is going to be a really, really big game. And I'm always of the mind that, hey, I'd rather a game get delayed and come out either, working or finished than give it to me now and it's broken and buggy and a mess.
Correct.
So I'm still excited for it. I think it has the potential to be cool. It's definitely going to be a big game for Xbox regardless. But that procedurally generated thousands of planets does really worry me.
Well, let me go ahead and ask Ramon then. Ramon, I got to say, he kind of set up a great segue to that. I mean, when he says it's going to be a great success for Xbox, that's one of the things that, like, we no longer, on this end, and even the media has a hard time with this. Ramon, they don't know how to really quantify it, right? We're going to hear Xbox say that 25 million people stopped by, right? 30 million people stopped and hit the A button. We're going to hear these things, but we don't really know what that transpires into for a success. We'll know how it does on Steam, and I think it'll do quite well on Steam. But Ramon, where are you on Starfield as a whole? And are you concerned that we've now had, one official delay, because people don't want to say that this is a delay, because it said they're trying, I guess in the fine print, when last year's June showcase went off, it said that they're trying to, that's their attempted target date was to do the 12 months. But still, that was a promise. It seemed like a promise. People took it as a promise. Where are you on this game, Ramon?
Well, I kind of have to work a little bit to both sides of it. And the reason I say that is because I'm new to Xbox. So, like, aside from catching up on games that I missed in all the previous generations of Xbox and, having my PlayStation drowning in games, the waiting doesn't affect me the same way because I'm not really waiting because I'm catching up on a lot of their other stuff. But on the other hand, I get for the Xbox faithful who had one every generation and went through last generation's pummeling, that it's like, okay, dude, come on, man, we're delayed again.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, Starfield, I had to remind myself that it should be considered a delay because when they said first half of 2023, that went in one ear and out the other, and I automatically assumed it was going to be fall because when they said Redfall as well, I was just like, no, they're not going to strangle one game for another. So my brain automatically went to either September or October. So when they said September, I didn't think about it at all. I didn't bat an eyelash, and the people were like, "It's delayed again." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right." As far as the game itself, I'm looking forward to it. I'm a recent Bethesda convert with Skyrim, so they have my interest with Starfield. I'm very forgiving when it comes to visuals. I'm not saying the game is absolutely, jaw-dropping beautiful, but I think it looks decent, especially for the scope. And I think that it could be a huge game for Xbox if Xbox gamers show up for it. And then that's the thing, right? That's what we don't know and we'll never know. But I mean, all that notwithstanding, that, Bethesda's pedigree, in my opinion, leans itself to, if you like those types of games and you like Bethesda games, I doubt we'll be disappointed. And for all the planets, I mean, as long as they have a good handful of handcrafted planets and they don't require you to go to too many of the procedurally generated planets, I don't think all of those extra planets are going to be problematic as long as they don't force you to go.
I don't think so. I think what we're looking at, Ramon, here, especially with the way Nova was kind of talking about when he said that's his concern, I think when they say you can go to those planets, it'll be a lot like a No Man's Sky in the sense where you go there,
resources.
There really won't be much there as far as it won't be inhabited as the way you think it may. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be that active. But the one thing I'm hearing from Nova and I'm hearing from Ramon and Gammon, I'll go to you here before I go to Worry and BRAP because I know they're really going to sound off on this. Is do you think what you're hearing, the one thing that concerns me is they say if you like Bethesda games in the past, like Fallout, Skyrim, you'll like this. The one thing that when you look at certain developers as they kind of have their portfolio laid out, I like to see some developers step out of their comfort zone. Not all of them, but some of them. And this seemed to be like a massive project, right? This is our biggest project. We can't wait to show you guys. This is going to be something unique. And then everybody, even in-house Bethesda folks, are saying out loud, well, it's Skyrim in space. To me, it looks like Fallout in space, but I've already had that argument 80 times online, so I won't go there again. But my point being is damn it, when I see this, what if you don't like Skyrim? What if Fallout's not your bag? So this new game may not fall into your realm, or that's just the way it is. That's what Bethesda makes you deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I want to start off saying I am excited for Starfield.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Mass Effect fan.
Mhm.
I'm ready for that next big space epic. Like I want one. I want another one. And the nostalgia in me wants to say, yeah, if you're gonna love Fallout, maybe love. It looks like Fallout. We want to make those comparisons, but with the way gaming works today, like these dev teams are constantly shuffling through different people. The BioWare of today is not the BioWare of yesterday, and I would argue that the same goes with Bethesda. So we're just gonna kind of have to wait and see.
Mhm.
I like what I'm seeing. I mean,
Okay.
I have a feeling there's like a disconnect between like the higher ups in Microsoft and the people who actually do the work, and I feel like they're, as far as deadlines go, they're constantly at the front edge of the envelope. So like that very first peek we got at it, like it had frame issues. Like if they had the time, do you think we really would have saw those? That wouldn't have been in there. So these still, and it's the same. I have the feeling it's the same thing that happened with Halo. Halo was supposed to.
I was just going to say that.
But
Yes.
they pushed it back for the year. I think there's like a disconnect. We've heard about those management problems, and I think that's an issue here. But I think Microsoft knows they need a W here, like a big AAA W.
Yeah.
And so hopefully that's why they're just giving it the time it needs, because they've seen so many other games come out and fall flat in their face.
That's one of the things. That's one of the. Go ahead, Nova.
No, I was gonna say, I think another thing that works against them is, we know that Bethesda is notorious for releasing really buggy games at launch. And I think that in the past, with games like Elder Scrolls and Fallout, we're always like, oh, well, these are massive open world RPGs. We can excuse bugs here and there because this game is just so big. But in the last, decade or so, since these games have started to come out, we're now getting massive open world RPGs all the time, and they're not releasing in buggy states or with as many bugs as a Bethesda game of old. So I think that Bethesda also has to really take that into account, that they can't just release games like they used to, because people are expecting a different standard now than we did about 10 years ago.
No, I agree. And the one thing I want to say is, we've been saying it on this channel for a very long time, and I really try to hesitate. You'll notice, you can hear back from 2-3 years ago, I don't really name a certain person, because when you're as big as Xbox or as big as Microsoft, it really isn't one person making the mistake or the error. It's a team. I've said that Microsoft and Xbox, specifically Xbox, needs new leadership. But, Worry, what do you think when you hear about this? I don't remember. I mean, I've talked to you for years. I don't remember if you're a Fallout guy or you're a Skyrim guy. I think you do like Skyrim, if I remember correctly, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. So so you're a perfect example. What do you think when you see Starfield? You're seeing the gameplay. You've heard Todd Howard enough to where your ears are bleeding at this point. What do you think when you see 2 delays? And you have to keep in mind what Gambit said and what Nova said. We do have to have a flashback here to Halo of 2020 was supposed to release. They got a year delay. Game was still kind of half done. Yes, what we got was polished. I'll put that out there. But what we got was minuscule to what we were promised. And what's the situation as we kind of go through this line here with Starfield?
So it's actually 3 delays. They got the release date when they first showed it. Then they delayed it to the first half of 2023. Now they delayed it to the second half or the end of 2023. So that's 3 delays. As far as the delays go, I don't care. I'll tell you why. Microsoft and Xbox need content badly, especially first-party content that's great.
Yeah.
If I know it and you know it and everybody on the panel knows it, everybody listening knows it, guess who else knows it? Microsoft. So in that position, they could have just pushed it out and used the internet for the patches, or they could have bite the bullet and say, let's delay it. And the fact that they delayed it tells me that they know that this game cannot come out the way that past Bethesda games have come out. Skyrim came out in an awful state on the Xbox 360. It was unplayable on the PlayStation 3, mostly because of the PlayStation 3's ridiculous architecture at the time and nobody understanding how the hell to make a game for it. Fallout 76, a different kind of game, but a mess. And those are products made by Bethesda, and they were fine releasing them that way. So, you know, not only Microsoft has to put Microsoft has got to, you know, put their name out there in a way that's positive, because they haven't in a while.
I agree.
And their first party has to do that as well. They cannot release a game that is completely, buggy. Remember back in the day when the internet was a thing and we were downloading games for the first time, and developers, they still do it, but they use the internet as sort of a way to release bad games and then patch them later on.
Yes.
That can't be a thing. And if you notice, Game Pass is kind of like the early days of the internet, where it's like, well, the game isn't playable, so what? I only paid $15.
Yeah.
They'll patch it in later.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like that mentality. I don't like that formula. I don't like anything about it. I want this game to come out and be good. Now, as far as whether or not I'm excited about it, it kind of looked a little generic to me, right? It's a huge open world exploring. Then all of a sudden, it's Destiny with a gun. And then, so I don't know, the procedurally generated worlds, that means it's always going to be online, correct? It has to be connected to the internet all the time for those worlds to be procedurally generated. How does that affect my single player experience? I don't know.
They haven't said that, but you make a good point.
You know, I actually am reminded of something. Sorry to cut you off, Worry. I'll be quick.
Just don't let it happen again.
If Sony was interested in securing timed exclusivity for Starfield, I feel like that gives me a little bit of confidence.
Yeah, they probably saw it behind the scenes and said, you know, this is something, you know, looks good. It's Bethesda, but Skyrim's still one of the most played games. Wherever they release that game, it's an instant seller. I just was playing Oblivion on the Xbox Series X that came out on the 360, and that game is incredible. So there's a chance that this could be, you know, look, they've got Fallout, they've got Elder Scrolls. If they can create something else and have like that 3-tiered pillar of Western RPGs that are really, really good, that's a good thing. I want that to happen. But there's a track record with not so much Bethesda, right? There's a track record, and this is where we get into like the tinfoil hat stuff, but there's a track record of people underneath of Microsoft when Microsoft owns them.
Yeah.
I don't know what happens. You know, it's like, you know, we're working, and then all of a sudden we're working for the rich uncle, and we can come in Monday, Wednesday, and Friday instead of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Correct.
So, you know, I don't know. I'm going to have to wait and see. Everything with Xbox for me now is wait and see.
Yeah, no, that's a good point that you make there. BRAP, honestly, Worry brings up a couple of concerns. That's something that we've been saying here as well for a while. It doesn't matter who it is that they bring on. You know, when they brought on 343 and Bungie kind of separated, we see the issues there. We see that the Coalition comes over, which was formerly those were employees of Epic. They come over, and we've seen a decline in Gears. You know, now we're seeing Playground Games rumored. I'm not saying they are. They're a talented group. There's no doubt about it. They are a talented group of people. But they are, rumors, they're struggling a bit. That game has a fable. We haven't seen anything since, what was that? Was that 2019? I don't remember when it was that we actually saw that snippet. And, you know, you have other situations out there. You see what's going on with Bethesda. Bethesda, I don't think has had delays like this in the past. Maybe they've had one, but this is a big game for them. So, I mean, BRAP, what are you thinking when you saw what you saw? And I thought, BRAP, that you are looking forward to Starfield. I think you are looking forward to that game.
Oh, yeah. You know, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I mean, I'm a, you know, huge Bethesda fan. Actually almost went to go work there.
Yeah.
And interviewed there. Yeah, I actually was. Yeah. But anyhow, I have friends that work there and have been playing Bethesda games for 20 something years. And I mean, look, there's some bias that I have towards Bethesda because they're right down the street from where I live. I mean, they used to be a client of mine many years ago. So, you know, I've been to their the headquarters, ZeniMax, and yeah, so there's some bias there for me, but no, outside of that, just you know, kind of rooting for the home team, if you will. No, I've always enjoyed their games. I mean, Morrowind, you know, we talked about it on this show a couple of weeks ago, how, you know, when Microsoft used to market their consoles and market specific feature sets of those consoles, they would show you software that showed those features at work, you know. And we haven't seen that with the monster, the machine that eats monsters for breakfast, or whatever they called the Xbox Series X.
Correct.
Morrowind being an example of, hey, we put in the you know, internal hard drive of the original Xbox, no other console has this, and therefore you can only get games like a Morrowind, and that's actually was true. Like there wasn't any other game that could run Morrowind. I mean, other console that could run Morrowind except for original Xbox. So I'm excited for Starfield. This is Todd Howard's first like new IP in like 20 something years.
Yep.
There's a pedigree there, and so when people say, you know, things like if you like those big open world games, and what I mean by open world, like this is different than like, you know, what's it called? BioWare open world. This is very like you can kind of create your own story as you feel like as you walk about and interact with different NPCs and walk into different buildings and just, I mean, like it's the amount of choices that you have in these games is almost endless, and that's kind of the difference. And you know, some people, you know, if you didn't like a Skyrim or a you know, or you haven't played, you know, a Skyrim or Oblivion, or this game may not be for you, but again, I mean, people said the same thing about what's it called, Elden Ring, and you know, and I'm not saying that Skyrim is gonna, I mean, not Skyrim, but Starfield's gonna, you know, be this massive commercial success like Elden Ring. My point is that never say never, right? Mooch, you never speak in absolutes.
You can't speak in absolutes, bro. It's not allowed.
Most of us assume that, hey, if you like Souls games, you're like Elden Ring, and then we come to find out that Elden Ring just had this thing about it that just pulled a lot of people into that Souls-like genre that had never played it before. So, but I would say that initially, just like, hey, if you haven't played or if you don't enjoy those types of games, this game may not be for you.
Yeah,
maybe it's worth just waiting to see reviews or seeing people stream it. But I'm hyped. But with the delay,
yeah.
Look, when they said, you know, we're gonna show you games that be playing in the next year, I was like, oh no, don't do that, Xbox. Like,
yeah.
And I get they're in a tough position. I get that. But it's almost better to say, here are the games that are upcoming that you'll be playing soon. Leave it at that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they never said what year. They never said what year. They never said 2022 or 2023. It could be any year.
Right.
Come on, BRAP.
You didn't read the fine print?
Yeah, and that's you know, I've seen some of that. People, oh, they gave no release date. They didn't get. Look, I don't know how definitive you can get.
Yeah.
Or definitive you can get by saying you'll be playing these games in the next 12 months. Okay, you say that in June. If you do the math, 12 months out is next year.
Yeah.
Or within that June to June time frame. Like it's not hard to figure that out. And I don't know why some people are having. Maybe they didn't pay attention in school. Maybe math isn't their strong suit, but I just don't understand how you don't get that. Like it's pretty clear, but I see people kind of twisting that to kind of fit their own narrative. But yeah, I mean, I that's kind of been my issue with Microsoft, managing of expectations.
Yeah.
And like clockwork, Aaron Greenberg's out here, you know, this week saying, oh, this is going to be the best Xbox year of Xbox 2023.
Yeah.
Whatever
he gets paid for that. He has to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I get that.
I don't pay attention to that more than I pay attention to like people who are literally, they don't even work at the company and they're just doing it for social media, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
they're doing
it's
Aaron
noise.
Greenberg,
Yeah,
Phil
it's
Spencer,
noise.
They get paid a lot of money to essentially lie. Everybody in marketing does. So it's not a big deal when they do it. I expect that.
No,
right.
And I get that, but it's like, but my point and where I was going with this is that, yeah, at some point, like I understand they have to say those things. I mean, they you know, they have to they have to say things that, you know, to kind of appease the shareholders.
Yeah.
They have to say things to appease their base. They have to, you know, earn their paychecks. But I think it's they're at a time now where it's like, you know, you need to put up or just shut up, because it's like there's been issues with delays. We've heard about studios not being run well, or issues at studios with game development. I mean, like Halo being the big obvious. This is your crown jewel. Like, how do you let that flounder? And
it's not this crown jewel anymore.
No, it's not.
No.
And at the end of the day, it's like, you know, I would have preferred them saying, hey, let's setting more realistic expectations with their fan base and saying, hey, you know, these aren't going to be, or instead of saying 12 months, saying these are the games you'll be playing soon, and just leave it at that. And it was kind of interesting.
That would have been better.
It would have been a lot better.
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting how they almost treated the announcement. It's almost like they kind of stealth dropped the announcement, the release date. I would have thought, and I understand they're having a June event, and maybe they're just trying to get ahead of, you know, disappointing people at E3, and that conversation kind of being a distraction to the showcase. But you could, I think, you know, considering that this is their first AAA current gen
Mhm.
game. It's gonna be the first one. There's a and a Game Logic said it best, tone deaf marketing. That's exactly how I would sum it up. But there's a lot riding on this game. This game needs to hit for them, or else we're gonna have this conversation with Microsoft can't get a game that moves the needle. They haven't anything that moves the needle since Gears of War.
You know, BRAP, the only reason I interrupt you is I want to, you've really set up a volleyball for me, and I want to ask Nova this question. I want to say, first of all, shout out to Lord Metroid. I appreciate him joining the channel. Thank you so much, Lord Metroid. And C-Matt, I see your super chat. I'll read it right now, but I'll read it again when we get to that topic. He says, politicians do what politicians do. Who's the first to claim victory for Microsoft's concessions, FTC, CMA, or EU? We will get to that. I didn't want you to think I was ignoring your super chat. But, you know, Nova, the one thing that BRAP was just saying that I got to kind of ask you real quick before we move on to another topic here is this is something that kind of just, guys, I'm asking people in the audience, please, as I'm asking Nova this question, stop and think about it for yourself and answer it rhetorically, if you would, or in the chat. So when you see everybody online, and I'm friends with a lot of the PlayStation guys, friends with a lot of the Xbox guys, these guys are very excited about Starfield. And they're like only talking about Starfield. And it's like, listen, what if Starfield isn't your bag? So you might go, well, Mooch, what are you talking about? When you have something like the PlayStation right now, PlayStation has had games like Ratchet and Clank, Returnal, GT7, Horizon, right? VR, which is a completely, doesn't even run parallel to what 2D gaming is. It's just an unbelievable experience. It's different. Doesn't mean you have to like it. I'm not saying you have to like it, but it's something different. Right? And then you've got Spider-Man coming out. I'm just trying to say to you, when you look at their internal studios and what's going on, and then they make deals with like Forspoken, these are different types of genres. These are different types of games. So if you don't like a Forspoken, I know that's a third party, but hear me out. It's on the PlayStation, right? If you don't like a Forspoken, then you can look forward to a Spider-Man. If you didn't like Horizon Forbidden West, you can look forward to GT. If you don't like either of those, you could have played Ratchet and Clank. You don't like those kind of games, you can have House, and I always say it wrong. It's not House Marquee, it's House Mark. You could play their games in Returnal. And the list goes on and on and on with that diversity of games. So, Nova, my question to you is, the one thing that kind of stinks, I'm sitting here and I'm excited to use my Series X, is like, I'm just sitting here on my hands waiting for Starfield. Like, that's the game. I know you might go, well, Mooch, there's Redfall and this and that. But, like, we have been waiting since 2020 for Halo and Starfield. And we've played Halo to death. So, it's like, now it's like Starfield. And it's like, what if you don't like Starfield? I don't think Redfall is going to be this massive success. I don't think so. I'm looking forward to trying it out, but I don't think it's going to be a massive success. Like, I don't think we're going to see Redfall 2 is where I'm going with this. Okay?
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, I think Redfall's going to be a good time.
Yes, I do too. I think it'll be fun.
And I think to almost act as if the Xbox games aren't as diverse. I mean, they kind of are. You know, Hellblade is not the same as Redfall. It's not the same as Starfield. It's not the same as Hi-Fi Rush. Like there are completely different, genres and things going on. But the problem is that the releases are very, very far apart.
That's my point. They're so
not
far.
Very many of them are big releases. I think for me, I get annoyed with both Xbox and PlayStation for the opposite reasons. On the PlayStation side, it's like, listen, Thank you. I understand that Spider-Man 2 is coming out. We know Wolverine is coming out and like 2 other games. What about your other 25 games? Can you give us something, PlayStation? Anything. And on the opposite end, you have Xbox was like, hey, here's 15 games that are coming out sometime. And it's like, well, if they're not coming out in the next year or 2, then don't show them to me. Right? Like a logo is not going to hold me over for 3 years. So I think both companies have the wrong strategy in terms of announcing games. But to your question, there's not enough content, and that is the big problem, right? There's not enough content coming, or big first party content, right? Because there's always stuff coming to Game Pass all the time. We constantly hear of these games coming to Game Pass, but these big, huge first party games, they're not coming to Game Pass fast enough. And so far, the ones that have come have not been the slam dunk that Xbox really needs them to be, to start getting these Game Pass subscriptions to grow. Because that's the product for Xbox now. It's not the console. It's, we need Game Pass to grow. And people, it's not like nobody, people don't know what Game Pass is. Everybody knows what Game Pass is.
Correct.
They know what Game Pass offers.
Yep.
But that needle is not moving. That subscription number is not jumping. Phil himself said on the console that number is kind of stagnated, and that's a big problem for them.
That's a massive problem.
So,
And I do want to.
Mooch.
No, go ahead, Worry.
I'm sorry. What I was going to say is what you were talking about is diversity of content versus diversity of a catalog. So the content that Microsoft has announced like 4 years ago that hasn't come out yet, you can talk about each and every one of those individual games that nobody's seen or heard from yet and say that's a diverse lineup of content. Sony and PlayStation have a diverse catalog that's actually released over time because they did the work during the PS1 and PS2 and generation to form those relationships to make those games have those releases. So they have a much more diverse catalog that you can actually point to and say, here's a game I've experienced, here's a game I've experienced, here's a game I've experienced. Whereas Microsoft, you're saying, well, here's a game that a year from now or 4 years from now I may experience that's different from a shooter.
Correct.
Here's a game I may experience 2 or 3 years from now that's different from a platformer.
Yes.
Right.
Nova put it great, and you just reinforced it. Time, and that's what I was kind of and if I left that out, I apologize. What I had meant when I said going back to last year's, right? Let's say, like I said, if Horizon Forbidden West wasn't your bag, which it's not a lot of people's bag, that's fine. You had GT7, you had God of War. There was other games coming out that might meet your fancy. What I'm saying is if let's just say Redfall's not your bag and you're putting all your chips into Starfield, it's not that Nova was right. I'm not saying Hellblade 2 is going to be phenomenal. We don't know when that's coming. We have no idea. So if you're putting all your chips into Starfield and then you end up not really caring for it or it doesn't live up to your expectations, you're waiting again. What I'm saying is with PlayStation over the course of 2020, 21, 22, and now into 23, there's been games that have come out at least at enough of a clip and a diverse series of games that where if you didn't like the game that came out earlier in the year, you might look forward to the one in the middle or the end or vice versa. That's what I was saying, and you both kind of reinforced that, and I appreciate you bringing up the time thing. I will slightly change subjects, but not 100% here. Not 100%. Since we're talking about delayed games, and you guys saw it on the thumbnail, I mean, Suicide Squad also has been delayed. Now, I think a lot of people on the panel may not have any issue with that, but I'll go ahead and ask Gamut. Gamut, is this a game, was Suicide Squad game, was that even on your list? Or was that not even on your list? And what do you think now that we saw what we saw, people are thinking that this delay is for them to go back? If you read further into Jason Schreier from Bloomberg, I believe it was 2 tweets down from his initial breaking news, was he said, don't think that they're going back to the drawing board. This delay is for more polish. So the game you saw is the game we're going to play. A lot of people I saw on social media were running with, oh, this game was delayed. So they must have heard us. They're changing everything. They're not. So, Gamut, what do you think when you hear that? Is this something that you kind of, I mean, where are you on that delay and that game overall? Because we are talking about game delays, and those were 2 of the big ones that were supposed to come out first half of this year.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty surprised that got delayed. That's pretty last minute. But that's another one of those, they had a situation like that when they revealed Ghost Recon, but this is way past the reveal point. But they had so many downvotes and they had such a reaction. But like you said, if you read the article, they do say it's for polish. And a lot of those things like the gear score and the way the movement works, and that's baked into this point. That's baked deep into the game. To fix that would take a long time. If it would require like an indefinite delay, if they were going to actually change it to that degree, is my opinion. So I think what we see is what we get. I personally don't know much about the Suicide Squad, so it looks like fun to me. But I am tired of them shoehorning gear score into every game. Like, the entire gaming landscape is being homogenized, and it's just so old.
It looks so formulaic, man. Very unlike the games that they've made in the past. That's the thing that I worry about. It's like all these enemies have, there's purple orbs all over everything. It looks like a paint by numbers video game. I don't understand.
I don't want to play the same mission 100 times either. I don't want to do the same mission 150 times for my content.
And
I don't want to feel like I have to play it every day.
They all have guns. It's just a third-person shooter. It's this third-person shooter. They all have guns. It's like, why do they all have guns? Even Captain Boomerang has guns. Like, I don't understand.
It's a games as a service. That's why they have guns. It's the only thing they can do when a game is as a service. Is they have this idea where you're going to go out and you're going to fight Superman, and we want it to be a games as a service, so let's give the character a shotgun. So I understand Superman isn't real, but there's a lure. How the hell are you fighting Superman with a shotgun?
Right.
Yeah.
And the reason it's there is because they just don't really care, because they want games as a service. They want to keep people running around online and resubscribing and rebuying things. So you're getting ridiculous content in a game that makes no sense. Let's go after these super villains with modern day tools.
Yeah.
Of course it makes no sense. When I first saw it, I was wishing that Crackdown 3 looked like that, because it looked like a better version of Crackdown 3, which I happen to really like, which is insane, I know, but I would like a huge open world like that to run around and collect orbs and jump around. But again, this is the problem I have with games as a service. It's the problem I have with what's the game you were just talking about? It's coming out soon in May for its own Game Pass.
Redfall.
Redfall, right? Redfall. Oh, you can. It's a single player game, but you can play it with other people. It's not going to be a single. You know, it's not going to be a single player game. It's not going to have a deep story. It's not going to have characters that you become emotionally invested in. It's a run around, boom, boom, bang, bang online with your friends. Games as a service.
It's a
game.
basic.
That's what I'm tired of.
They showed a few things. That's the thing, and it's not. Like Redfall was something that I was actually. If you said Mooch, and I said this on the air, I think I said it to Xbot. I had said I preferred Redfall. I was looking forward to Redfall even a little bit more than Starfield, just because it was my kind of. And then when I saw the Redfall deep dive, and we looked a little bit more into it, like the one mission that they showed was, go over to this house, you fight a couple of the vampires, you grab the light or something, then you go to the lighthouse and you screw the light bulb in.
It's Left 4 Dead. It's Back 4 Blood. It
seemed very generic and boring. Yeah, a little bit boring on that end. As far as, like you said, you're not gonna have story, you're not gonna have character development, things like that. And the thing about it is, I just remind people that's what Matt Booty said a long time ago. They're gonna have a lot. In order for Game Pass to keep people's appetites full, they're gonna have to fill it with large, double A type of games. Not double A necessarily the way you're thinking about it. Doesn't mean that's a bad quality. Good quality, but just shorter, shorter games that they can pump out fast. You can't make God of Wars, or you can't make Horizon Forbidden West, and then just have the crew wait 3-4 years to release a game. It don't work that way with a service like Game Pass. I don't believe. That's why they're trying to get game. That's why they want to have the Activisions of the world. That's why they're just going
to say that. That's why they're buying up as much as they possibly can, because they realize that.
Yeah,
and I think gaming is going that way in general. Sword. Like the last Sony CEO said so on his way out the door, and I think he's right. I think the budgets are getting too big. The time scales are getting by the time they plan something out, the trends have shifted. Like they're going to have to figure something else out. They can't just keep all jumping on the same bandwagon. There's usually only room for 2 to 3.
But that's why
hitters in one zone.
That's why it's important to have so many independent developers, because in between your first party, third party is what keeps these platforms alive.
Right.
So what happens is, if you have Microsoft
and everything,
the other thing too is you can have the big scale games, but they just need to. They might, with these budgets, they might just have to scale back. So instead of a game being like 80 hours, scale it back, and you can have a big, beautiful game, but maybe it's only, you know what I mean, or 25 hours. Like they can move around with the scale of these games and still have games that look like Horizon Forbidden West, but maybe they just won't be these gigantic experiences that take 8 years to make, and then things are in a different direction, or the budgets are just too.
Yeah, no, I agree. Shout out to the great Royal Boyle 78. Great to have him here. He goes, here to support my guy Mooch at CrossFire. By the way, Starfield will go down in gaming history as the most overrated game of all time. Have a great night, all. Royal, thanks for dropping that bomb and then leaving in Crossfire. Appreciate that, buddy. Yeah, that's outstanding. The great Royal Boyle, everybody. Appreciate that. No, you guys make good points, but the thing about it is, I think that's one of the reasons you don't want to see. I've always said this. I don't want Microsoft necessarily to get Activision. I don't want Sony to get Activision. I don't.
Yeah, right. I hate this idea that
right
these
there.
companies need to keep purchasing up publishers. I want there to still be third-party games, and I hate this idea that eventually we're just going to have 2 or 3 big companies, and that's it. There's no more third parties. You look at with streaming services now, right? I don't want to have to buy Hulu and Amazon Prime and this and this and that. I don't like that everything is spread out amongst all these places. It's annoying, and I don't see the reason why we need to have these publishers be purchased. Why there needs to why they can't still be third-party studios. Why they can't still be third-party. Why do they need to be acquired by anybody? I don't understand. They can still make games and put them wherever they want. I don't get this idea.
The industry definitely responds to deep story, characters, and worlds. An example of that recently is Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah.
I mean, that game came out of nowhere, right? And it's over 12 million already. They just released, their Game Pass summary. Like Microsoft put up their 14,000 hours picking wands up off the floor and 12,000 hours, putting potions down there.
The
But
last
they
gen
also,
versions haven't even shipped yet.
yeah,
That's
they
right.
also managed to sell over and continually to sell over 12 million, and then the last gen version will ship. But you can do this stuff. Everybody's doing the things that Microsoft is saying, the industry's trending away from. Phil Spencer, single player games aren't, they don't sell as well as they used to sell. Literally, he said that the week before Horizon Zero Dawn and Zelda Breath of the Wild came out. So
We definitely know why.
everyone is
Right.
doing everything. Everyone can do it.
And wasn't it Activision that was saying that?
Yes, Microsoft can do it. They've got more money than anybody. They've got to get the right people in there, and they've got to give them the creative push that they need to do it. There's a reason why Insomniac Games can create games literally out of thin air and have them be ridiculously good looking and playing well. There's a reason why Guerrilla Games can go from making a mediocre shooter to pivoting to a third-person open-world action-adventure game, right? And the first Horizon Zero Dawn sold okay. And what happened? They stuck with it, and you got Forbidden West. You're getting the DLC coming up next. They pivoted that IP to what? To a new piece of hardware and a new genre of game, PlayStation VR 2. And they're releasing other games, Stellar Blade. They're releasing Rise of Ronin. They're working on those games. They're working on Insomniac, Sucker Punch are working on first-party games coming out. So everyone can do this. Nintendo's doing it consistently every generation. You could say that their games are, kiddie, or they take less time to create, which they don't. They're just as impactful and creative as anybody else's. There's something wrong, and I don't know what it is. If you've been around Xbox for a long time, I have, BRAP has, Mooch has, there's something wrong. And it's not a fanboy thing. It's just there's something going on that doesn't make sense. Yeah. You go from Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, Gears 1, 2, 3. Somebody just posted online today that moment where Dom finds Maria. Remember that scene in Gears 3 where he finds
How
her?
can you forget?
What a gut punch.
Oh my God. Whoever, look at that writing, and then look where we are now with Halo. How did we go from that emotional impactfulness to this? It's just, there's something wrong. I don't know what it is. I would love it to change, but it's a wait and see for me with everything at this point.
Are those same people who created the experiences that you just
No,
gave
they're
an
not.
example? Are they still there?
No.
No, they're not. Yeah.
Oh man.
And that's
see,
another issue.
yeah.
That's another issue.
That's a big point. Who was that? Was that Ramon that just said that?
Back in the day,
Yeah, that was me because
we
I had
we
no
heard
idea.
Oh, go ahead.
I forgot that moment in that game. When I saw that today on social media, it was incredible. It was incredible to relive that.
I'm going to give Nova the mic in a second. I just want to make Ramon, your question that you asked is more relevant than anything else. That's the other thing. When they're acquiring these people, are they retaining them? And you're seeing that they're not. They're not. They lost Rod Ferguson. A lot of the people from the initiative have left. A couple of the key members from Playground Games have left. So you got to understand, these IP are only good. And Ramon, I ask you this. You are an author. You're an artist. Okay? If I make the binding for the book in the paper, but I lose you, who puts the words in it, what good is my book?
Well, I mean, if you need something to take notes on or recycle, that's pretty valuable.
I guess that
but
would be all
otherwise,
right,
it's probably
right?
not going to have much.
Well, that's
value.
my point. So retaining this, that's another key thing to remember. When Sony acquired Bungie, part of that 3.6, and my numbers are now a little foggy on this, 1.2 billion of their 3.6 or 3.7 billion dollar buy was for the employees to retain them. And Nova, I'll give you the mic. I took it away from you. What were you going to say on this subject?
No, I was just saying, remember hearing way back in the day that over on at Xbox that there was just a large lack of creative freedom. That was really something that was stifling a lot of the studios. A lot of developers were not happy with that, and that really negatively impacted the games that came out. And then after that, it was, they're giving us a little more creative freedom, but they're forcing us to shove multiplayer in every single game we release, whether it's a single player game or not. They're like, it has to have online multiplayer, and that was something that negatively impacted the games that came out. But we're hearing, or at least Phil has said that he's heard those things, he's heard those criticisms, and that he's allowing the creative freedom. He's allowing these people to make the games that they want to make. So I don't know what the issue is now over at Xbox, but the thing I always tell people is like there really is no excuse for them to be in the position that they're in right now. They have more studios than their biggest competitor. They have more than enough money to go and acquire talent or to poach talent or to do whatever the hell it is that they need to do to have the best gaming experiences that literally money can buy. But instead of cultivating these things, they seem more content with, we're just going to go buy stuff that other people have already did. And then the big problem I have with that is I can't name or I can't think of a studio that Xbox has acquired that since acquiring them, that studio has been elevated in status. I can't think of one. You know, even when they acquired Rare back in the day, they acquired Rare when Rare was freaking Rare, dude. They were making Banjo-Kazooie. They had made GoldenEye. They had made all these N64 era bangers. And then when they acquired them, almost everything they released after that was like, is this even the same company? You had Lionhead that got shut down. Say what you want about PlayStation. A lot of their studios in these last couple of years have been elevated in status. You look at Guerrilla Games, they were just making Killzone. Now they're the studio that makes Horizon Zero Dawn. Even Bend was this studio that just makes these PSP and Vita games. And yeah, not Days Gone isn't everybody's bag, but they're still now, hey, that's that studio that made Days Gone. Even if it's an incremental jump in status, their studios are leveling up in status and are now thought to be some of the best in the industry. And none of these studios that Xbox has acquired have been able to do that same thing. And I don't know what the reason is.
The one thing that I just been scratching my head on, what I want to see Xbox doing is, okay, for example, when I can't remember his name, but one of the I think he was one of the heads from Insomniac who went to the initiative and ended up going
Drew
back.
Murray.
Okay, Drew Murray. Now, if I'm Xbox, you know, particularly if I'm like, say, Matt Booty, for instance, and I get Drew Murray, I'm pulling him in the office with Phil, and I'm saying, "Hey, man, thank you for showing up. You know, thank you for being part of the team. I want to pick your brain. Obviously, you can't talk about stuff that you're under NDA that when you were with Sony, but what was it about working with Sony, Insomniac, yada yada yada, that you found the most valuable, the most rewarding, yada yada yada, and what didn't you like?" And anybody that came to my studios that came from Sony, I would be having a meeting with them and asking and getting answers of questions that they can't answer of what they loved and didn't like about working at Sony. And then because obviously they have a winning formula, so to a degree at least you want to try to emulate that to a degree and put your own flavor on it. But I just wonder if they're doing that. And if they are, then why aren't we seeing that? And if they're not, then why aren't they?
There's no
Because
greater example to everything that everyone's talking about than Bungie. If you go back and you play the what's the Halo game with the different tone? What was it called? Oh my god, I'm drawing a blank.
Reach.
No, not Reach. The one where you're the team
ODST.
ODST.
Okay,
ODST,
you play ODST in the opening level when you walk down one of the hallways.
I actually like that game.
There is a poster of Destiny in the game.
Yeah,
there is.
Okay?
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know if people know that.
Traveler.
Right, there's a poster of the Traveler.
He's a
Now,
Traveler.
after Bungie left, we know that they were telling Microsoft for a while, we want to get away from making just Halo. We want to get away from making just Halo. Microsoft said, no, Halo, Halo, Halo. And look what happens. A brand new IP that's incredibly huge, made by Bungie, called Destiny. Who owns that now? Sony. So this has been a systemic problem for a long time within Microsoft when it comes to just, you know, they get a hold of something that they think is going to make a lot of money. Oh, Halo makes a lot of money. 1, 2, 3. There has to be 7, 8, 9, 12, 15, 37, 47, instead of letting them do something different. I don't understand the idea that we can't have somebody work on something different over here. We can't have somebody work on Halo over here, because if it's a money issue, you've got $2 trillion. You funneled some of that money into the Xbox division, even though you hide the Xbox division under Windows and devices. So I don't get it. If you can drop $69 billion in cash in an afternoon, why can't you help a studio like Bungie stay first party and create multiple projects instead of just Halo?
Bro,
Well,
Halo Gears and Forza is a meme for a reason. They have beat us over the head with that shit since the Xbox 360 generation and even before with Halo and stuff. Like, it's okay to have staple titles like that, but like Mooch was saying earlier, you need a wider net. You need to cast a wider net. You can't. They just lean too heavily on that, and it
Exactly, and then those
So,
IPs don't get driven
can I-
into the ground.
Go ahead, Brap.
Can I chat in real quick? I'm seeing some of the chat here. I think the big thing that people are missing here, because I've seen people refer to the panel as ponies. Look, I primarily game on PC, and everyone should be gaming on PC because that's the best platform to play video games. But that's another conversation. But I think what people are missing here is that many of us on the panel have been on the Xbox platform for 20 years now. For those who don't know, Mooch, I was an Xbox Live beta tester.
I had no idea.
Yes, many
Oh
people
my
don't
God,
know that.
what?
Yeah, right.
Jeez, you learn something new every day on Crossfire. Go ahead, Brap.
Yes, and so so a lot of us are talking from this perspective and the experience of experiencing Xbox when really they were really doing things that were really moving the needle in the gaming industry and within the community and the fan base. Like, I would say this, like, and I know I sound like a broken record, but Jesus Jones, you get Itagaki-san from Team Ninja to come out and say,
Oh man,
I'm bringing Ninja Gaiden exclusive to Xbox because the PlayStation 2 is too weak for me to.
yeah,
I mean,
remember that?
yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah.
I mean, Splinter Cell was born on the original Xbox.
Yep.
You know, when Halo came out, when Halo 2 came out, when
Oh my God.
Atoji from Software. I mean, that was a Jet Set Radio. You know, we talked about God of War, Gears of War, when that came out, when they first showed that game. So we're talking about those experiences and those.
And there's another example of a developer telling Microsoft what they need to make something great, and Microsoft then agreeing with it because Epic told them we need more RAM in the Xbox 360. Don't launch it with 256 megabytes of RAM. We need 512 to make Gears look like this. And what did they do? They redesigned the entire console and launched it with 512 megs of RAM.
Yeah,
And then we went from that Microsoft and that Xbox to we're not sure about Bungie and Destiny, so goodbye. If that's being a pony, then you're an idiot.
Yeah, and so
and they let Bungie go too when Bungie was still on top of the world. It's not like Bungie had fallen off. Bungie was still Bungie. You don't let that go.
Yeah. No,
and so my point is that when we're talking about this stuff to the people who are like, you guys are ponies, you may have not had that experience. And for us who've had that experience, and we look at and these are tangible things we can see and we've experienced, there's a drop off. There's been a drop off. There's a reason why, if you look at the 360, the performance of that console, and you look at the drop off in performance from the Xbox One, and granted, look, I'm not going to say that they're not in a better place they were last generation. They absolutely are. But when you think about the content and those experiences and it's just the excitement, you know, and showing these new IPs that are like, oh my God, like you saw Splinter Cell the first time, when you saw, you know, Panzer Dragoon. Remember Panzer Dragoon on the original Xbox?
Yeah,
one of the most beautiful looking games on that with that generation.
Yeah.
Ninja Gaiden was amazing. Look, amazing. You know, and then they follow up with the 360, and they went to Yamaguchi-san. They dropped the bag to Yamaguchi-san, and they got Lost Odyssey. They got what's the other game they made? That was
Blue Dragon.
Blue Dragon. I mean, and that's my point. Like, they did all these things.
They had swag. They had the exclusives. They were putting down the money.
Listen,
there's
new IPs. There's a reason why a system with an over 60% failure rate still managed to sell incredibly well. And that's because everybody who had that failure still went out and bought another Xbox 360 for a reason.
It was that good.
Darn right.
Right.
100%.
You know, like
one of the things, Brap, that you're saying, I just want to read, shout out to Jeff B. Gaming. Jeff, thanks for the super chat. He says, Phil went the other way with studio management. All creative freedom, no management structure outside from studio heads. Studios have to self-govern. So the thing about it is that's, you know, when you say, well, we'll let Bethesda be Bethesda, that's fine. But what happens when you let a smaller team that needs a little bit of guidance not get that guidance and be expected to step their game up a bit? What happens at that point? Again, I'm just throwing out just some points. So Jeff makes a good point, Brap. It kind of piggybacks a lot of what you're saying, that transition from that great platform, the games you're talking about, to where we are today.
Well, there's got to be some accountability, and that's the kind of thing that, and like in my opinion, when you hear about some of the, and it's not all studios at first party studios at Xbox. Like,
No.
I'm not going to say it's all studios.
It's not.
But we've heard about stuff with the initiative. We've heard about stuff, the people that make State of Decay. There was something there.
Yeah.
We've heard about some of the challenges at obviously 343i. That's well documented.
Some of the top people left Playground Games.
Well, I think that's kind of more natural to just the
not when you're talking about the founding, the core four that were there, and the core, the ones that the founding fathers, they left.
Yeah, no, they did leave, but again, I don't.
Maybe not all of them, but
unless
there's
there's something else there that I'm not aware of, I just chalk that up to people like, hey, you know what, we want to go do something else.
Well, it's telling though, isn't it, Brap? I mean, you're always discussing things in the HR sector in different companies. When you have a situation like that, if you were to acquire people at your company right now, right, you're like, oh my God, we just acquired this insane team. And then like 12 to 18 months later, like the top three of the team's still there, but the top three are telling you they're going to go unify and form another independent team. It does say something. You don't have to. And then if you see it repeatedly, right?
I mean, what I'm not going to say is that it's because of like mismanagement. I mean, it could be like, hey, look,
it's a lot of variables. It's not mismanagement alone, right?
Yeah, we want to do something different. Creatively speaking, we want to, and that's how.
And that's what they said. That is what they said. Yeah.
And maybe that's what it is. I mean, or maybe there's something else there. I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much because I don't want to like start any rumors. But
no, this is.
But here's my question. Why couldn't they have total creative freedom there and stay there and do whatever they wanted?
That's the question.
Microsoft's not, Microsoft's will probably, it may have been a conversation. They're like, no, again, speculation, but I mean, that could have been a situation where.
But I mean, it's not speculation. It actually makes sense. I mean, 1 + 1 is 2. It's not speculation. We want total creative freedom. We want to do something different. So we had to leave. So that means then, i.e., you didn't have total creative freedom where you were.
And which is one of the things Xbox preaches. They give creative freedom.
Supposedly now they have that, right? So now they have that. So I think it's just. I mean, it's just they didn't invest in it. They stopped investing in Xbox for a long time. Game development takes a long time. They bought these studios that released the games right as they bought them. The timing just sucks all the way around. So there's nothing but waiting. And I don't know.
No, I hear you. Go ahead, Ramon. Who's going to speak up? I apologize.
Oh, yeah.
Ramon, go ahead.
It was me.
Please.
Just real fast. I just saw someone in the chat. I lost their name, but T Harris. You say, "Hey, old guys, Xbox is dead for good." My response to that is, you sure as hell better hope not.
Yeah, I agree. No.
We need Xbox.
That's right.
In a lot of ways,
it's true.
And this may sound dramatic, but in a lot of ways, the gaming industry hinges on Xbox getting their crap together, because you do not want an unchecked Sony running wild, because Nintendo and Sony don't really compete with each other. Nintendo's doing their own thing, and you do not want an unchecked Sony running around.
That's a real good
without
point.
Anybody to look at.
We say that.
Yeah,
we say that.
I just want to chime in here. Everybody said that same thing. Everybody said that same thing too when Sega went away with Dreamcast. So there's always somebody waiting to take your seat.
That's true too.
Yeah, and that is true. That's my biggest
hope. When the Sega Dreamcast went bye, there was already another player at the table. Right now, if Xbox were to disappear tomorrow, there is nobody else.
Well, we say that
Nova.
Think
of somebody that would be there.
Nova, there's Apple, there's Amazon.
Because Amazon is similar, shares some similar traits to Microsoft in that they have all the money they need, but not necessarily the know-how. Yeah. And that's what scares me, is someone getting into the console space. Like, let's say, heaven forbid it happens, but let's say the worst case scenario happens and Xbox ends up failing and they're done and they're no more. Well, Amazon is the next step, and we just don't know if they have the know-how to really step up and make Sony say, okay, we better be careful, because they can.
The only people who could take Microsoft out of the console space is Microsoft. They can lose money forever and stay here and be fine.
That's but does Microsoft want to continue letting?
That's what I'm saying. The only person who could take Microsoft out, like Dreamcast, Sega took themselves out. The only person who could take Microsoft out is Microsoft.
Right.
Period.
And
Sega was also
Microsoft,
releasing 17 different pieces of hardware in the span of like 4 years.
That's what I'm saying. Sega took themselves out, right? A lot of bad decisions. That's a whole other podcast.
yeah, but you say that, Nova, but stop and think about it for a second. The Xbox One, then they had the hybrid, then they had the S, then they had the Xbox One X, then they had the Xbox Series S.
I mean, they were
Now they
different
have the
names,
X.
but they were the same generation. I mean, with Sega, you had the Sega CD, the Sega Saturn, the Sega this, the Sega. There were like how many Segas?
Well, that was the same
consoles were they
generation.
releasing?
The Sega 32X was the same generation as the Genesis.
Right.
The Sega
Right,
CD was the same generation as the Genesis.
They
But
painted themselves in a corner of having
But
to be
it
first.
felt like they weren't the same thing, is what I'm saying. And I don't
So they
think they
were
were
the same
marketed as
Still
being
the
the same
best,
thing.
still the best launch date of all time. 9/9/99. You can't top that.
That was a damn good date. Let me change subject slightly. I want to kind of go over to, and I promise the audience we won't talk much about it, but Nova, I got to go to you first here. So I don't think I've been looking. I didn't see anything in print. From what we hear, it was somebody that was in the room. They heard about it. You know, Jim Ryan's supposed comment of wanting to end the deal, right?
Right.
So, you know, you don't have to speak to just that. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's been coming out in the last 48 hours on this deal. A lot of things that Microsoft had said to them. Maybe it was a deal that they had offered them, and then something was redacted or something. I don't know. Something like that went on, and they pulled back on something. I don't know. But now they're saying, like, you know what's going on. They say that the EU is kind of floundering. The UK is somewhat still on the block side. The FTC is like waiting to see what happens in Europe. Where are you on all this? And I really don't want to take too much time, but everything that's happened over the course of the week, I know you've been vocal. I want to get your take on CrossFire.
Right. I mean, I honestly, I don't care about what happens with this deal.
No. This is just about what your thought is on the topics.
With this thing with the whole I'm sorry, with the whole Jim Ryan thing, that, you know, the reason that people were like, oh, they're upset because supposedly he said that we don't want a deal, we just want to block your merger, and people upset about it. It's like, of course he wants to block the merger,
right?
Like, this merger. And no way. And I keep asking people, I'm like, how does this merger benefit PlayStation? And then people act like, oh, why do you care? I don't care. You're the one that are upset about Jim Ryan trying to block it. How does the merger benefit PlayStation? It doesn't. So why would Jim Ryan want it?
Right.
It's no different than if PlayStation were trying to acquire Take-Two and then possibly make Grand Theft Auto exclusive. How does that merger benefit Xbox? It doesn't.
Right.
So Phil Spencer would probably try to block it. This is business. Of course he doesn't want it to happen. And even if they're like, oh, well, they're going to give Call of Duty to PlayStation for 10 years. 10 years is a blink of an eye for these corporations.
That's right.
And then after 10 years, then what? Then they take it away? How is that good for PlayStation? It's not. So it is in his best interest for this not to go through. Is he exaggerating on how much it will impact PlayStation? Probably. Is Xbox exaggerating on their side? Probably.
Right.
But the bottom line is it is not good for PlayStation in any sense of the word, so the man doesn't want it to happen. He's literally doing his job.
Yeah.
Well, apparently,
They're both doing what they got to do. They're both doing exactly what they got to do.
Apparently, what you just figured out, it took a website today to figure out. So you know, that's what I'm talking about. You know, now we know Sony's true intention is to block the merger. Yeah,
well,
we knew that.
We knew that for a year.
Right, I was a fetus, and I knew that. I mean, it's just insanity. And when you have people behind, when you have people making $400,000 a year in behind closed door
more
meetings,
than that,
then I know I'm just being, you know,
yeah.
In closed doors meetings, then running to social media. There's something like social media. It just fosters a sickness in people. Like I cannot imagine being behind closed doors at a meeting for like $69 billion, and then being like, I can't wait to get out of here so I can run to Twitter. I just don't understand. I cannot understand.
Her whole credibility is shot with me.
It's insanity, and the fact that you have to you can't say that. Or else, you know, oh my God, some 30 to 40-year-old living in his parents' basement will call you a pony. It's insanity.
No,
They shouldn't have drug
Rory,
this out into the public in the first place. Like Microsoft and like
Exactly.
the CEOs
Well-
were arguing with each other on social media, like right from the get go. Like
Yeah, it's
there's a lot of money on the line. That's just super unprofessional. I just
well,
kinda, I don't know.
Worry.
You don't see that very
Can
often.
we get real about this for a second?
The great glorious
Watching a
Kev is
bunch of-
here.
Watching a bunch of rich guys money fight on the internet is boring. Tell me when I can have dollar Call of Duty. Or if I can't, I can't. Whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's all I'm
Uh,
interested in.
I'll just keep
Put
this
that
way
bitch on
up
Game
and
Pass.
tell
me when
me
it's
about that
over.
anyway.
Dollar Call of Duty
Exactly.
might play like Dollar Call of Duty.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
but
Hey,
Worry,
if it does,
Worry,
I'll keep my dollar.
Worry,
Yeah, go ahead.
you did. I mean, that's kind of my sentiment too. It's like, like it took a website to figure this out, and like we all know this.
Look,
Like, and this is
they know.
and this-
They knew it. They did it for hits. They did it for traffic.
Right.
yeah. And this is the thing, like that kind of like makes me kind of chuckle a little bit. Like people are like, oh, Sony's scared. They're shaking. Like people say, oh, Jim Ryan's lying. I'm like,
Such a
Guys.
jerk and blah blah.
yeah, guys, like first of all, that's weird. It's weird to ascribe like that kind of like a human character trait to a corporation, because they're not humans. Yes, they're run by humans, but corporations care about one thing: money.
Period.
Money.
Period.
And and Jim Ryan is the CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment. He has a fiduciary responsibility. I've said this on the show, to make his shareholders money, to make the group that he's in charge of profitable, to make sure that they aren't losing money where they don't need to. And this is like I think it was I don't know if it's Supernova or Gamers Gamma who said this, but it is basically like, look, this deal's going to take some money out of Sony's pocket. And Jim Ryan, look, don't mess with my money. All corporations are like that. And what's really weird, and this is why I know people are kind of like, this is that, like, Worry, what you're describing about going to social media and kind of social media brings out a sickness. It's that hive mentality, that cult mentality, and it's that, and you're seeing it seeing it manifest itself in social media as people talk about this deal and they pom it, and they try to villainize. Look, Lulu.
Yeah.
She's earning her paycheck. She is out there. She is creating the villain. She's trying to villainize.
Do you think
And
they want her to do that? You think they want her to go on social media and do that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They are. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is
They're trying to get public perception on their side to try
yes. They're trying to
push
sway the
deal
court.
through.
Mhm.
I mean,
Absolutely.
what public perception? These are like, Twitter gaming is not the medium of video games.
No, but it's this narrative that PlayStation is anti-consumer. PlayStation is trying to keep games away from gamers, and Xbox is the good guy on the block, and we just want to bring more games to more people, and that's all we're trying to do.
It's to reinforce that brand loyalty. It's to reinforce conspiracy theories that the FTC is somehow corrupt or in Sony's pockets, or the EU doesn't understand gaming, or the CMA doesn't understand gaming. It's to purposely mislead people and to get people to support something.
But
it's
Brap,
really weird because
Brap, can you just talk to the one subject that I want you to talk to, really, and you're good at doing this, is basically anytime you see somebody that works for Activision or is associated with Activision coming out about this deal, they stand to make a lot of money if Microsoft buys them out.
Well, and that's the other thing. There's a huge payout for Bobby Kotick, so they're going to do
not
anything
just
they
him.
can do to try. And when you look, this is how people act. Like, if you ever been around a C-level executive, and there's money involved, this is like Jim Ryan say what he's saying. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that Microsoft is kind of out there, dragging this out there on social media.
Not at all.
There's a lot of money at stake
when
here.
you get to the level that these individuals are operating at, these people will stab their mother to get the job done.
Right.
That's the only way you get to the level that they are at.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
well, Mooch, they're not stabbing our mothers. They got that big wooden gravy spoon all ready to go. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Man,
just-
I'll
Just
say
the gravy
if-
spoon?
if-
Y'all didn't get popped the switches? Man.
yeah.
You got the whole goddamn tree.
Real quick, Mooch. The thing that's weird is like people. The thing that I find really odd is when I see the Sony's scared, Jim Ryan scared, they're lying. It's like, was Microsoft scared when they spoke out against NVIDIA acquiring ARM? Like, are you telling me that Microsoft's scared of ARM or NVIDIA? Because
That would've been horrible
Microsoft,
for them.
Microsoft actually was against NVIDIA acquiring ARM
That's
and
right.
spoke out against it. Are you telling me Microsoft was scared? The
No,
$1 trillion
of
company of
course
NVIDIA?
not.
It's ridiculous.
It is.
I'll
It's
just say,
ridiculous.
I'll say that if Phil and Jim Ryan weren't saying things to make me roll my eyes, then I'd be side-eyeing them saying, man, they're gonna lose their job if they don't get their act together."
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
they're supposed to say anything outside of like literally breaking the law and getting sued or
Right.
going to jail. They're supposed to say and do anything they can to get that deal through or
Yeah.
blocked.
Exactly.
And anybody who gets emotionally wrapped up in that, I'm like, man, you a little too invested because they're doing exactly
Thank
what
you.
they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
People are
No,
doing
it's
the
like
best
Warren
thing
said,
anyway,
like,
man.
if it
Let's be
doesn't-
real. My concern is still, when am I getting Dollar Diablo? Anything else in
My concern is when is
Diablo.
it? My concern is when is it over one way or the other, so I can stop hearing about
I'm
it. because-
so
Yes.
tired of hearing.
It
about
is-
it.
it is getting-
cheerlead over video game
I
companies.
mean, listen, if it doesn't go through, some of
we
these
gonna do.
channels are gonna lose some
Yeah,
subscribers.
yeah,
You know?
we won, we won.
Don't worry.
Right.
You ain't what shit.
I see people
Don't
say,
make my
hey,
fries.
I see people say, "Hey, we're about to do a victory lap." When that story broke that the EU was going to, I'm like, a victory lap? Like, are you serious? Like,
Man,
and these
wait,
are
wait,
like,
you know what this makes me think about? Remember the first Batman with Christian Bale when he's talking to I can't remember
Where
her
is
name,
he?
but his girlfriend, and
Where
so
is she?
the two ladies are out in the car in the building. She's like, "Come on, Bruce, there's still more buildings for you to buy." And
Yeah.
I'm just
Oh, yeah,
like,
the two supermodels who were swimming in
yeah,
the.
and it's like
yeah.
that's what it's like with some of these people
Swimming
and
in
these
the fountain.
companies with Xbox and PlayStation. They're like, "Well, they should buy this and they should buy that." I'm like, they sound like the supermodels in the car.
Yeah.
I've seen
you-
some
you-
literal court reporters out here, man. Like blow by like.
I know, right?
Like what
You
did
know-
you do with it?
I want
you
to see
guys remember-
Xbox buy
you
more
guys-
stuff just for the angry tweets.
Do you guys remember when Apple sued Samsung over the form factor of their phones?
Yeah.
And like, and Steve
Oh
Jobs
my
is like,
God.
"We're going to go thermonuclear on Android." I mean, like, people clearly haven't been paying attention.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of young people wrapped up in this.
No,
Right,
sad
yeah.
though.
Old
There's
people
also a lot
wrapped
of
up in
old
this.
people.
There's
There's
also-
also a lot of
there's a
old
whole
people.
lot of old
that
people.
just ruined it for me. That just ruined it for me. I was trying to find some positive in this, but
The
No,
sad
there's
part
There
is,
goes
well,
that.
The sad part
Imagine-
is
imagine
we are
how
literally
bored- how
drowning in
bored
games.
You have 50-year-old podcasters that are like pushing this kind of stuff.
imagine how bored these housewives are.
Oh,
Wow.
worry.
Oh,
Real
man.
quick, I got some super chats here.
There's an opportunity there.
I got-
somebody on
There's
ground floor
an
to move in there.
opportunity.
Mhm.
Somebody
the sad
shout
part
out.
is we're literally
Warrior's
drowning
crazy,
in
guys.
games. We're drowning
Right.
in games, and people are invested in this.
Yeah.
And we
The
literally
look,
don't
man.
have enough time in the day to play all the games that are coming
Oh,
out.
This
but
is
releases
true.
this year is insanity.
This
There's
is a-
so
I'm
many
I'm
games
playing
releasing
releases
this
from
year.
last year. I'm still playing
Yes.
fall
Yes.
releases.
No, I completely agree. Shout out to the great Jimmy Harrison. He says, "Preach Supernova." So the great Jimmy Harrison is here. Reggie Scully makes a good point. He says Sony and Nintendo need gaming.
Hey, Jimmy
Microsoft
Harrison. Shout out
doesn't.
to Jimmy Harrison.
Yeah, shout out to Jimmy. Microsoft doesn't, and it shows. What Reggie's really getting there too is, remember, the food is put on the table for Sony and for Nintendo based off of PlayStation and of course Nintendo. They really, that's where they have all their eggs mainly in that basket. So I agree with you on that, Reggie. The great Jimmy Harrison's back. He says OG Xbox. We had Splinter Cell, Halo Brute Force, Mecha
Brute
Assault,
Force.
360, Gears, BioShock,
Oh, remember
Lost
Brute
Odyssey.
Force? How great that
Yeah.
looked!
Yeah,
That trailer?
Mass
The game
Effect.
wasn't good, but that trailer was fire.
Xbox, well, but listen, you got to hear Jimmy's this whole thing. He says OG Xbox. We had Splinter Cell, Halo, Brute Force, Mecha Assault, 360, Gears, BioShock, Lost Odyssey, Mass Effect, Xbox One, Titanfall, Rise Son of Rome, Forza 5, Killer Instinct, Series X, Falconeer. What happened?
Yeah.
You
Something
know,
happened.
and
I don't know what
shout out
it
to
is.
Jimmy.
Something happened.
And Jimmy doesn't do the console war thing, so
You're a
shout out to
funny
Jimmy.
guy, Jimmy. You're a funny
You're
guy.
a funny guy, Jimmy. Shout out to
make you laugh?
C-Man.
This long pause.
Well,
and
you
then
know what?
Falconeer.
I'll ask this question. C-Mad, I'm gonna read C-Mad's super chat, and I think I'm gonna answer and give it to Glorious Kev here. C-Mad says, will there even be consoles in 10 years, or will there just be streaming devices? C-Mad, my answer is this. There's never been a better time right now for people to go out and build their own PC. Kev will back this up,
Yes.
right? But
Yes.
if that's what Kev's
Best
preaching,
gaming platform.
and BRAP's preaching too, apparently, then there's no reason that you can't say that consoles won't be here for a while. Because guess what a PC is? It's hardware.
They're
So
selling
I mean,
better than they ever
and-
have this generation. I've been hearing that
At the- at the end of-
generation.
At the end of the day, the console is really just a lockdown computer.
right
That's all it is.
there it is.
I think what's going to happen, though, realistically, consoles are going to change. I don't think we're going to be completely streaming in 10 years.
No.
But I don't see disc-based consoles next go around.
That's fine.
everything's-
I can buy.
There'll always be a Nintendo console with a card.
Or true,
Always.
yeah. I don't pay for Nintendo games, so I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not sure. They're all download only for me. But yeah, you might be right for on Nintendo specifically.
Well, I think that PlayStation and Microsoft will go without a disc tray the next they don't use disc trays anymore. Discless.
That's gonna be a bad time. When
I
that
think it's kind
happens.
of important that
Only for the
Well, they'll
Okay.
sell. I think what they'll do is what PlayStation's doing this generation. They'll
Listen,
have
hear me out
a.
on that. The reason I say that's going to be bad is because right now you can only buy a digital game straight from the Sony store. Now, if they go away from discs and we can only buy digital games from Sony, all these beautiful discounts that we get on the PSN store, maybe they'll still
that should
show
show
up.
up.
But if they have all the control, just like you just said, that's a wrap. So
It's gonna be Breath of the Wild still. Breath of the Wild still
Yeah.
$70 or $60. It's gonna be like that. Last of Us 3 is gonna be $70 7 years later.
No, but there's
wish
the
I
other
was
thing,
paying
there's the other thing
$70
we have
a
to
game.
think about. You look at all the innovation we've had in gaming, and not just in gaming, even in when it comes to graphics for movies, for TV shows, everything. A lot of that has been driven by the R&D from the console space. When everything just becomes streaming now, and we no longer have these machines, are we still going to have all that R&D? Are we still going to see this push forward for
Yes.
the technology that we have at the same rate?
Yes. The difference isn't going to be that the R&D is going to change. The R&D is the R&D. What's going to be different is your control of the product. You are
Absolutely.
renting your console is essentially a rental box. Yeah, you own this physical box, but if you don't want to update to the latest Xbox patch, the latest PlayStation patch, Switch patch, whatever, you essentially have a brick device. You are playing on their time. They tell you what to do with your device.
No,
Xbox is there now with Game Pass.
I'm talking
And
about
they
a
tell you
future
what to
where
pay.
there are no devices. You're saying when the devices are gone and everything is just streaming.
We'll all be dead.
No, I'm saying specific. Well, when we go to streaming, I think we're about maybe 20 years from now, 2 generations away.
Right,
I don't
that's
think we're
what
there.
I'm talking about. I'm talking about stream. I'm talking about no more consoles. Consoles are gone, streaming only. That's what I'm saying about the R&D being gone, because now there's no more hardware, at least for us.
I don't look forward to that.
Yeah,
either.
the
hell
hardware's going to be on
listen,
server side. Yeah, it's going to be like an NVIDIA
yeah.
Shield. Totally.
Yeah. I'm all about the console. I dread the day that the consoles are gone. I love having physical things that I can hold and
Yeah, I do
touch.
too. Same here.
Yeah,
That's what
I
she
think
said.
consoles
Oh.
going to change. Yeah. That's all. The consoles are just going to change. They're going to be different. They're going to evolve, just like we evolved from say the PS1 in 64 days. Then they all became media devices. Where before
let's
they
get
were
this show
just
moving,
what
Mooch.
you put
Yeah,
on
no,
a
I'm
disc with.
gonna go ahead and I want to kind of bring this up. I'm gonna go to
Super
Supernova.
chat, Mooch.
Do we have a super chat? Oh, the great
Yeah.
the great Basement Radio Arcade podcast. You guys, he couldn't make it tonight. We do have Sony is Scared with us tonight. He says PC greater than console.
Facts.
Well, at least you got Kev with you there, Brap.
Small subset of people, but that's fine.
Yeah, that was like that was like the slow clap in the back.
Yeah, we're like, okay.
And what was the PC game nominated for Game of the Year last year?
Oh boy.
I was gonna say, I mean, if you like,
Zing.
wrenching on
I
shit
think
before
that's
you
a
go
stupid
gaming.
argument because people don't go to PC for looking for exclusives. That's how you sell a console.
We go to PC for performance.
The last PC game that
Well, I don't want to perform any
we're looking at
maintenance.
consoles that was working was Half-Life.
And that's kind of that's
Mhm.
like going to a Honda dealership and a Bugatti and saying Bugatti's better. I mean, well, I would assume so.
I mean,
Right.
if you're spending Bugatti money,
Hey,
you
look,
don't have
that's
to buy a
the-
49.
Yeah, but you know
to get a
that's the
good PC
Kev. That's the
experience.
one thing that I always say to people that are on the show. And don't get me wrong, I have a PC. It's not as good as your guys' PCs. But my point being is that everyone that we kind of associate on social media with, they're like, oh, I got a 3080 or I just got my 4090, and that's all everyone talks about. But generality, that's not what the masses have. So it's like when people are like, well, I got this powerful beast. We're in a community and we're speaking in our echo chamber. But a lot of people that I know that are PC gamers only, the highest, the best one I know is they got a 2070 Super as their card. And it's like that's
2070 Super is still solid. I'm still rocking a 2080 Ti.
no, so am I. I'm with you. I think the 2070 Super is fine, but that's the highest some of my friends have that are PC gamers. The rest some of them are still rocking a 1080. So my point being is that, and that there's anything wrong with that, by the way. I'm just saying that's where a lot of those gamers are at. So I do want to change the subject slightly, though. I want to go over to the great Supernova, because Nova, this is I kind of knew your opinion on a few things. I didn't know what it was on this one. So, and I have my opinion, but I'll save it towards the end. The Forspoken sales from Square Enix have come out, and they said that they've been lackluster. Now, they did chart top 10 the first month they came out, But remember that we don't know the actual number there. We didn't hear about it. So
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and take Square Enix's word for it. They're saying it's lackluster. One of the things that I always say, Supernova, was I said that they kind of shot themselves in the foot. And I'm not even going to get to the game yet. I'm going to say that they shot themselves in the foot because they delayed giving out the review codes to people until the day it came out, which already caused 4 to 5 days of bad press before the game came out. And the other thing that they did really, really wrong, and I've never been a fan of it, we talked about it with Gamut and Ramon before the show, is I didn't like the demo. The demo did it more damage than good.
Oh yeah.
So Nova, where are you on the whole thing? And now listen, I'm playing the game. I'm on the third Tanta, which is the third enemy, the third big boss. I believe is there 5 or 6 total? I don't know if anyone on the panel is also playing it. I believe there's 5 major bosses. I'm on the third.
I think there was 5 finished it. I think there's
5. Okay, I'm on 3.
think.
I'm on the third one. I'm about to fight the third one. I genuinely like it, but I'm not gonna defend it. I'm saying I like it as a gamer. It's a really nice change of pace. But Nova, where were you when you saw the lackluster and what I said about review codes going out late and the demo being a catastrophe?
Well, when I first saw Forspoken, when it first got announced, I was like, "Oh, this looks interesting. This looks cool. I like the environmental effects and particle effects and the combat and everything looks interesting."
Right.
And as I saw more and more of the game, I was like, "I don't know. I don't know if I'm really feeling this." And so we got the demo. I played the demo, and I was like, "Yeah, no, I don't like anything about this game. I don't like the traversal. I don't like the combat. I think the character models are ugly. I think the environments are ugly." Now, I don't know if the environments get better looking or if there are better looking environments in the game, but from the demo, and that's all I can judge is the demo.
It's better than the demo.
The ugliest, blandest.
Yeah.
When you turn, things shimmer and do weird things. Like, it's for me, I was like, yeah, no, this is a big no for me. I'm out. And I do think that the demo did more damage than helping, because I don't think that it was a really good vertical slice for that game, because that game maybe it gets better, I don't know, but the vertical slice they gave us, I don't think did anything good for the game. In terms of the review code, the day of, I always think it's spooky when you hear about review codes being given out so late, or when you hear that the review embargo for a game is the day before the game comes out. That's like huge, big red flag for me that game's probably not going to be very good. And in terms of the sales numbers, Sony, if their games sell good, or if games sell good or do decent numbers on the console, they are more than happy to tell us how many copies sold. We didn't hear anything about this game, so I don't know where it is, but I don't imagine it sold well. I know that going into it, there are people that were watching those videos of the really cringy dialogue and were like, yeah, no, I'm out just based on that. So yeah,
I'll tell you,
I don't think it did well.
So, and I'll turn it over to Worry in a second, because I know Worry just said had proclaimed that he'd beaten the game. But what I'm saying to you is the game gets better. The story is actually pretty good. Not the little dialogue between her and the cuff, not that.
Right.
But it really gets pretty good. The game is nonstop action. I mean, I got news for you. You're gonna get carpal tunnel from playing that game. I mean, it's legitimately nonstop action. The world is massive. If you're like me, you guys know this. If you remember the Twitch streams I was doing, I'm a collectible freak. Like, I love all collectibles. Like, and this game is littered with them. I do think the game gets better and better. The powers you get, the lighting effects. It's a good game. I don't think it's a 9. It's not my game of the year. I've never promoted it that way. But one of the things that I always say is, if you're gonna have, whether it be timed exclusives or you're going to have first party games, like, you're not going to get 5 or 6 or 7, 9 out of 10s, right? You're going to have a couple of 6s, a couple of 7s, a couple of 8s, you hope, and 1 or 2 9s. That'd be nice. But my point being is that this is a nice blend. It's a mix in that portfolio that Sony put out this year. I'm not selling it to you. I wouldn't. I'd say wait for a sale. Wait for a sale. But, I mean, Worry, what did you think of the game overall? Like I said, I think a 7.5 out of 10. I'm only at the 3rd or the 5th boss. Yeah. But I would say that a 7.5, 7.3. I mean, I don't want to get specific. You know what I mean? I don't have my abacus out.
0.3.5.
Yeah, 7.3251. Worry, what did you say?
I like the game a lot. It does get much better. We had that 33 seconds of dialogue that everybody jumped on. There's a reason when you find out that her name is Frey Holland. The reason she's called Frey Holland is because she was found in the Holland Tunnel in New York as an orphan. So there's a lot of deep story there if you would just get to it. But I think for a new IP, unfortunately, we'll probably won't see another one, but for a new IP, it was incredibly solid. The traversal system is like a metagame. I just spent so much time running around and figuring out ways to shimmy and juke around obstacles and stuff like that. The combat system takes getting used to, but once you get it, it snaps and it just feels really good. Again, it's social media and maybe the need for, I wasn't one of these 30, 40, 50-year-old guys on social media hoping that the game failed, even though I wasn't going to play it while the milkman kept showing up delivering milk, wink, wink, nod, nod, while I'm in the basement on social media talking about toys. I think that a lot of people who didn't play the game would be incredibly surprised. This is going to be one of them games, I think, maybe like in a couple of years, people are going to be like, wow, I didn't know this game was pretty good. When it's like 20, when it's like $20 or something like that.
Yes.
Right. They have DLC coming, single player story driven DLC coming. I'm going to get that as soon as it comes out. But I do think it's going to be one of those games where, once we get past all of this nonsensical console war, social media, YouTube, Twitter nonsense, people are going to say, oh, that was a really good first attempt at a new IP and a new character.
Yeah, that's really well said, actually.
Absolutely.
Gambit, have you played the game? Has anyone else on the panel played the game?
Yeah, I have. I've played it, and I also reviewed it for my channel. I'll just give you the quick elevator pitch.
Please.
I gave it a 3 out of 5. I almost gave it a 4, but it didn't quite make it. But I really did enjoy the combat. The story is highly underrated. The world was just a little bit too big for me. The collectibles were a little bit too meaningless. And I would say that it does the one thing, and a lot of this comes from me being tired of open world, but it does the one thing I really hate is when an open world sections into different sections and just has me do the 5 same activities in different areas.
Yeah.
Like once my brain locks onto that, I start to lose. Interest. So I stopped searching for stuff. I did finish the game. I do like it. There's a lot of fun to be had here, and almost everybody that I've talked to who's actually given it time has enjoyed it. It just has the first 4 or 5 hours suffer the same as the demo. Just not a good first impression at all. It didn't do it any favors.
That was well said, Gambit, as well. I really dig the way you said it there. Even though I do love the collectibles, a lot of the collectibles that you get in it are redundant and I don't know if the word's useless, but that's true. The other thing is as the map does open up, you will be doing very similar dungeons, very similar castles that you kind of take over. And then there's the monuments that you kind of go. And it is the same thing. It's repetitive. But what changes about the game is, again, the powers, the spells you get, the magic, the way that your movement through the world changes. And that does change things. There's a large portion of the world that's got water where before you couldn't, and then you can glide on it. Then there's a part where you can fly. Like, it really does start to open up the world and makes this massive world feel a lot smaller because you can traverse it that much quicker. So, Gambit, great analogy and great review in a matter of a minute and a half that you just did there. Ramon or Kev or Nova, you guys, well, Nova, I don't think you're playing it, but
No, I'm gonna wait for it to. There's so many games coming out, like we keep saying, in the close vicinity to us that it'll be one that I pick up when it goes to sale. 'Cause I'm hearing good things from the people I know that are playing it, that they are really really enjoying it. So I definitely think it'll be worth a try. But when it goes on sale,
So for me, I when I initially saw it, I was excited, and then I saw a little bit of the dialogue, and for obvious reasons, dialogue kind of is a thing that I or that's important to me,
Well,
given my profession.
absolutely.
However, I was like, well, I'm gonna see how it works out, and then I played the demo, and that Forspoken had a combination of a demo that did it no favors, picking the wrong slices of dialogue to show people in trailers that did it no favors,
yeah,
and then social media with the pile on of people who wanted to hate on it anyway that did it no favors, and then launching it with a day before embargo that also did it no favors. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's almost like they really just set the game up to fail.
They sabotaged it. They self-sabotaged.
They self-sabotage. So for my part, I just want to give a shout out to the community members who played the game, posted clips, and turned that image around for hopefully a good number of people that they turned it around for. Because for me, I was still going to get it, but I was like, yeah, maybe I'll just get it later, because the main thing for me was the performance. Like once I started seeing the dialogue and I was like, okay, it's not so bad, but the performance was the thing that I'm like, all right, I'm going to wait for some patches.
So the big patch, Ramon, came out today. And I have yet to.
That's good news.
Yeah, the graphical and performance patch, I believe it was released today. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought I read that. I will be downloading that. I'll give it a try over the weekend, because I've been kind of attacking it in pieces, and I love it. You do have to keep up with this game. I make sure that I play for Forspoken at least once a week, minimum. Only reason I say that is there's a lot to the mechanics. This is one of those games where if you said
you
I
don't
got
want
to
to forget it, right?
yeah,
You don't want to forget
right.
it,
Thank you. Where you'll back me up on that. Like if you get to the third boss and then you put the controller down, you don't play that game for a month.
Oh, you're done, right?
Good luck.
Yeah.
Like
There's
good
a
luck
lot
getting
of
back
those
into it. You know,
Yeah, I'm gonna commit.
you got to. You don't have to spend every waking moment on it, Ramon. But you do have to come back to it. You know, routinely. Let me just put it that way.
Is it like playing a Zelda game, kind of like if you just if you put down Zelda for a month, you'll completely be lost?
Yeah. Good luck
that's
remembering
the
where
reason
you
why I
are.
just
And
played-
yes.
Yeah, that's the reason why I just finished Witcher 3 for the first time last week, is because I couldn't commit the time. But as far as the last thing I'll say about Forspoken is, despite the fact that I've heard from everybody that Hogwarts Legacy is a masterpiece and I intend to get it, I'm going to make Forspoken my next purchase, just because I want to give this game some love, because I feel like it really got done dirty. So I'm probably going to get it in the next week to a couple of weeks.
I think that she's an awesome character too.
I do too.
Really, really great character.
I do too.
All that I'm
wish we
really
saw
glad
more.
to hear all that.
Yeah.
Glad to hear all that. It's just a shame this game got done so dirty. So
But
hopefully
Ramon,
the
like
DLC
Worry
does
said,
well.
you know, and a lot of people. This turns a lot of people off. But you got to get to that 4 or 5 hour mark to where the story opens.
Yeah, you see, there's a reason
very
why she's so obnoxious. You know what I mean?
No, I'm very patient. Like it doesn't. I'm patient, man. I mean, I've read books that it takes you like a couple hundred pages before it really starts to kick in.
Yeah, no,
So
you're
4 or 5 hours.
the
good,
customer.
you'll be good.
You're good. Shout out to a couple people in the super chat here. I see CMAD. He says difference between PC and console outside of performance is game mods. They enhance gaming experience and consoles need them. So CMAD, I'm going to tell you, the first game that I'm going to try this out on, really, and I've had a lot of people that have told me that Mooch, you got to try this out. You know, try Skyrim and try these different Bethesda. I'm going to try playing Starfield on my PC because of the mod community. I am going to do that because I think it's going to make it a lot of fun. I think it'll take, because I'm not
because Bethesda games with mods are incredible.
Right, and
they
Kev,
are probably some of the best games to mod.
I
Just make sure you finish. Like if you play Skyrim on the console,
yes,
you got to finish the game, because you're not going to get any achievements if you activate the mods on the console.
No, that's correct. Worry, I'm probably not going to go back to I have Skyrim Special Edition, Anniversary Edition, whatever they call it. It's got like 16 names. But I have that. I probably won't get to that. But I mean, I will try that on PC. Shout out to TrueWiddy. He says, and Forspoken has Souls-like huge bosses in the world. So they do. That is also true. Guys, Gamut or Worry, correct me here. They're the mutants, I believe they're listed as.
Yeah, there's the mutants, and then there's the dungeons that have pretty big bosses as well.
Correct. Yeah, I always find, for some reason, and maybe it's because the early part of the game kicks your, you know what, the mutants I found were tougher than the early dungeons, personally. I think that levels out later.
The first one I ran into, I just from the color coding, I was like, oh, I don't even have the right thing, so I just came back and got him when I had my fire.
That's right. That's right. You have to kind of go back when you have the right spells. So shout out to TrueWiddy and CMAD. I appreciate both of you guys. So let me talk real quick about this, because I get to combine two topics into one. So Capcom had their showcase last night. Before I get to the games that people generally didn't care much about, let's talk about Resident Evil 4 real quick. Anybody? I mean, you guys saw I played my demo on air here. I'm gonna go back and play it again. It's a quick demo, by the way. This is fast. And if you want to know how to do a demo,
15 minutes.
Really, it was. Mine said 27. I literally had to pause it and like take calls while I was actually playing. So the clock kept going. But yeah, it's about 15 to 20 minutes in reality if you're not taking a break or pausing it at all. So anybody else play it? I mean, Kev, you played it, I take it?
Yes, I played it.
It was glorious, was it not?
It was glorious.
I agree, buddy. I agree.
I might actually upgrade my graphics card for this because I want to see what that ray tracing look like. And this 2080 Ti ray tracing on that game,
No,
it's not the best.
No. I did put the ray tracing on, and I know Kev, this will make Kev chuckle a little, but I did put the ray tracing on the PS5 edition. I did notice certain things that the ray tracing did shine through a bit, or at least that I perceived it that way. In the puddles, the reflections, the light, I did see that. Listen, I said this at the beginning of the generation, and I mean, not to go off on a tangent here, but I'm not going to say ray tracing doesn't matter. It certainly does, right? It's the next progression in game development and design. I get that. And it's going to be something that's going to probably be standard as we move forward, like HDRs become. So I'm not going to belittle it, but I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of games, Kev, also with I have the 2080 Ti as well. I generally, anything I do play on PC, I always shut ray tracing off. So
I generally do too for the better frame rate.
And I don't feel like I'm losing my experience.
There are very few games where the ray tracing is actually transformative. Like Cyberpunk, if you can get that with ray tracing going,
yeah,
I was
going to hit your performance hard, but it is transformative. The only other
game I would say that you have to have, like if you're looking for something that says this is why ray tracing is needed.
Mm-hmm.
If you play Ratchet and Clank on the PS5,
yes,
it looks absolutely incredible with ray tracing. Yeah.
Control is probably the best looking game I've seen with full on ray tracing.
Yes, but I agree with you, Mooch. There, at times it can be like you have to take it or leave it.
Right. Now, Worry, I go to you here just because you did an outstanding thing. Yesterday you were putting out side by sides of Xbox and PlayStation. Yeah, you really set a volleyball up. I get the spike now. And then you did a video. You did a quick video on it. So, Worry, you played the Xbox Series X version and you played the PS5 version. Do you want to tell the audience a little bit about your findings?
Yes, I personally, right, this is my opinion. Bear in mind I have old eyes, but I found the PlayStation 5 version to look better. I think for some reason, there seems to be like an extra pass of detail on it. And if, you don't believe me, there's that video you can go look at. But, we talk about this all the time, Mooch.
Yeah.
That DualSense controller, right, when they implement that.
Yes.
And I know it's not that big a deal for some people, right? Oh, it's a speaker.
It is a big deal.
It's rumble.
It's a gimmick. Yeah, okay.
When I there's a part where you walk across, and everybody's played it, where you walk across this wooden lattice bridge, and there's wind blowing.
Yeah.
Now on the Xbox version, when you walk across that bridge, there's almost no rumble whatsoever. When you walk across the bridge with the DualSense controller, every single lattice vibrates on the controller.
Yep.
In addition to the wind, then you have the haptic feedback. Then you have the adaptive trigger implementation, which is not monumental in the demo, but it's going to be in the main game, right?
Yep.
And then you add in the fact that you're going to get that PSVR 2 feature.
Oh my God! Yeah.
I'm essentially paying $70 for two completely different experiences.
Correct.
And they implemented the DualSense into the demo too.
Oh yeah, when you use your walkie-talkie, I mean, I know it sounds crazy, right? It comes with that little speaker, but not a big deal.
No. I have a DualSense up for my PC. I've seen it.
Right.
So, but I played the demo with my mouse and keyboard.
Yeah. So it definitely, if you have it, it's one of those things. The same principle as a condom, right? You'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Correct.
So I'd rather have that DualSense implementation rather than not have it. I think obviously on the Xbox Series X it looks phenomenal too, right? I mean, it's not like it's a completely different game.
No.
It's still a beautiful, beautiful version of Resident Evil.
No, a conversation that Worry and I think it's a conversation, just to let the audience know, a conversation me and you will always have, behind the scenes is, especially when there's a game that's on both consoles,
always DualSense,
and they look good. Well, if the DualSense gets attention, like
exactly.
if the DualSense doesn't get its proper attention, then the game's afoot. You can do whatever you want to do. My point being is that like whenever the DualSense has a major impact, it sways. It's one of the factors that sways my purchase.
Right.
Yeah, it's a big additional level of immersion that you're going to be getting, and graphically the games are going to be basically on the same level. They're going to be negligible difference. So really, the only difference is that DualSense, that additional immersion. And if I'm going to get the additional immersion, that's a no-brainer for me. If there's no DualSense support, then like we said, flip a coin. Doesn't matter.
It is really good. I thought it was a gimmick, like before the console came out. I was like,
a lot of people did.
I've been using Rumble since the Rumble pack on the Nintendo 64, right? So I had no big deal. But
You had to buy that, right? You had to buy Rumble separately.
Yes, you did.
absolutely.
Totally forgot about that.
And God
put
forbid you
AAA
wanted to use the
batteries in
memory
them.
card. You had to
Remember-
pull it out and put the memory card in.
Oh my god.
Right.
You had to put AAA batteries into the Rumble
Remember
pack.
when Rumble was a last gen feature when we had the 6-axis controller in the PlayStation? They took the Rumble out
Oh, yeah,
because they were having
getting-
that.
they were
They went
getting
through that
sued.
lawsuit. Yeah,
And then tried to say it wouldn't work with the 6X.
right.
Yeah,
right.
once I tried it though, it changes it. When you're playing your video game like on a nice TV and you got your headphones on and you crank those headphones to like a level where you can kind of feel it in your ears and you add the DualSense to that,
Yeah.
it kind of like envelops your whole body, and it's hard to describe unless you experience it, but it really pulls you into the TV. It really does.
You know,
Yeah,
Like when
VR
something huge happens,
VR
and
is built like
everything
that too.
shakes.
If you get a really nice set of headphones with VR will do that.
Oh
too.
yeah.
oh, absolutely.
VR is another level.
It really is. I
VR
mean,
is
I
incredible.
promised the audience I wouldn't get too much into VR, but like I'm telling you guys, and I saw somebody that was in the chat earlier, like, "Oh, VR's dead." I said, "Listen, let me tell you something. This
Because he
is
doesn't have it.
yeah." I was
That's
gonna
why
say,
it's
do you
dead.
have it? Because don't get me wrong. I say it all the time. I'll say it again. 2015, I was not a fan of VR. That was when VR was experiences. This is games.
I remember you telling me I was
Yeah.
an idiot for buying the PlayStation VR 1.
I thought the first one wasn't very
Yeah.
good, especially when it first came out. They were like, "You're gonna be the Batman for 7
Yeah,
minutes."
Exactly.
And I was like, I don't want to be Batman for 7 minutes. I want to be Batman for at least 6 to 8 hours. Minimum.
Most people, but just like the DualSense controller with PlayStation VR or VR in general, most people, once you try it and you experience it, that's the only way you'll know.
Now's a nice
And
time to get into
Most
it.
of the time, people skew towards saying, I like it once I try it. Same thing with VR, same thing with the DualSense controller.
Correct. That was my experience too. With the DualSense, I thought it was a gimmick, but I got a DualSense for cheap because I needed a new controller.
Yeah.
I think the gimmicks or I think the feature is really cool. Is it something that's going to pull me away from my mouse and keyboard most of the time? Probably
Right, no.
not. But at the same time, I'd rather have it than not. I have
Yeah.
a Series X and a DualSense controller. If
Yeah.
the game supports the haptic feedback on there and the triggers, I'm using the DualSense.
Yeah. God bless you too, Kev. I tried for a bit, because I remember I was talking to somebody who's a PC gamer and he says, Mooch, what you got to do is you just got to pick a game. And yes, you're going to go through it's like learning a new language, as far as a gamer goes and getting used to using a keyboard and mouse. So I picked was it the Outer Worlds? I picked that one because that's a slow-paced game, this and that. And yes, it wasn't difficult. It was easy to kind of do. I got to tell you something. It literally was like I put a syringe into a fun cavity and I extracted the fun right out of the game. Like
He says
It-
like getting a lobotomy.
It took me a couple months too. So
Jesus.
when I got
What was
when
it?
I really got into PC gaming around 2014, what I did, Wolfenstein: The New Order, the reboot first came out.
Great
Okay.
game.
I forced myself
Very
to learn
good,
on
yeah.
that, and then I turned around and played Assassin's Creed 4, The Black Flag. I played them both on mouse and keyboard. Assassin's Creed I don't recommend it with, but with Wolfenstein it was a great learning tool.
Mhm.
The Doom games 2016 and Eternal,
Yes,
great
yes.
games to learn mouse and keyboard on.
Good point.
Especially first-person shooters. You have to have a game that lends itself to mouse and keyboard. If you get something like WoW, like don't try to play Elden Ring on mouse and keyboard. You're gonna have a terrible time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I just again, I grew up with a controller my entire life, and to me, it's the most comfortable way to game. Even when I PC game, I generally use my
That's right.
V2. Now, tell me, guys, you guys are
A
great.
lot of
Credit.
people are like that. Like because I was like that too. I went to PC at 30.
Yeah.
I was a console gamer exclusively before
I
that.
grew up with controllers and console games, but then around the time where I was like maybe 17, there was a cyber cafe that opened up in my area, and we were friends with the manager. So for people that don't know what cyber cafes is, a place where you go and they have gaming rigs. The entire place is nothing but gaming PCs,
Oh my
and
God,
you
I
pay
remember
you pay monthly or not monthly. You pay for hours, and you sit down at the gaming PC and play games. And because we knew the manager, we didn't pay. We played for free. So I literally spent nothing but days and days and days playing Counter-Strike Source and playing the Battlefield
Nice.
1942 and Battlefield Vietnam and all these things on mouse and keyboard.
Oh wow.
And yeah, mouse and keyboard for me, for first-person shooters, 100%. It is faster. It is,
The
you have
game's a bit easier to control.
way more control, because you think about the amount of control you have in your thumb is not anywhere near the amount of control you're going to have in your actual wrist and the range of movement. However, I still think that playing on a controller is more comfortable. And then with the adaptive triggers and the haptics and stuff,
Yeah.
that additional immersion, I wouldn't trade that for the mouse and keyboard, even though I would never say that mouse and keyboard is not faster, isn't more accurate. Of course not. Mouse and keyboard is the king when it comes to those things.
Yes.
But for me, when I'm playing these games, when it's to be immersed in these games, into these worlds, and I'm not playing competitively, for me, it's got to be controller, especially if it's got the DualSense features.
Okay, so
But I even
so without saying both, I pre-ordered the Resident Evil Collector's Edition. I think it retails. I'm spot checking. It's about. I think it's $250. It's the one that comes with the Leon statue, the whole nine, right? And
Did you get it through GameStop?
Yeah,
I think they canceled all theirs. Did you see the article?
I saw the article said if you ordered it at your local store. I ordered it online. Isn't that different?
Oh, I
thought it said something about in store. I don't know. We'll have to ask the Great Gaming Forte when I talk to him. Well, that may answer my question. Let's say I didn't, because I have it pre-ordered. Whatever. I was thinking about just getting the digital deluxe edition of RE4 and using the $200 to go get the DualSense Edge.
Yeah, I would do that. That makes more sense to me.
I think so
Is the
too.
DualSense, how is the DualSense Edge? I actually haven't tried.
Nova,
it.
do you have it or Gamut?
I don't, because I didn't see really the point. Like, the things, the features it has are not really ones that I'm going to personally use, and everything else is the same. So
See, I'm
for
intrigued.
me, it wasn't something I was.
I have
So it's not like an improvement on build quality or anything. Because if it's anything like the Xbox Elite, I love the Xbox.
No,
Elite
it's definitely a better build. But I mean, the one thing about the Xbox One, I use my V2 for pretty much 90% of my gaming. But when I put the paddles on the back, the thing about that is, yeah. See, Jeff Grubb says online orders were not canceled. That's what I thought, Jeff. It's in stores.
Good.
It was an odd thing. I don't know how the hell that differentiates. But thank you, Jeff, for clarifying. The paddles on the back of the V2, and not just Xboxes, any of the other ones, they have these same paddles. They're like shaped like an L. I like the idea, and for $200, I better like the idea. PlayStation has those buttons. They have those round buttons. Well, for Call of Duty
styles for the
right, they have two different styles. They have the traditional L and the buttons, right, or the nub. I don't know what you want to call them. Stubs, yeah, or nubs or something.
Yeah.
But the thing about it that I find interesting, well, let me answer Worry's question first. Worry, to answer your question is with Call of Duty, especially here. Like
that's what I was going to say. Most of the people I talk to say they always say the same thing. You know, it's great. It's got all these extra features on it, but I only use it for one genre of game, which is a shooter online. So I just don't. You know, for me, the DualSense by itself is already.
I would use it, but you'll find it funny, Worry. But I would use it for certain things that we do in Forspoken. But I would predominantly use it for this. And, but the thing is,
I use dodge or crouch mainly.
Jump and crouch, yeah. You know what I mean? So it's or slide and when they got rid of slide now, it's just dolphin dive in the new Call of Duty. But whatever.
I mean, if you're not like in a gaming league competitively,
no.
I don't know if it's worth it to spend the money on it for I don't know. For me personally, I didn't see the point of it. So.
Well, you know what? And it's funny, Nova. I can't. The one thing I won't do is I'll never talk you into it. But I do have like I said, I bought the V2, and it comes back to what Glorious Kev was just saying. There's also a craftsmanship. You can feel like if I grab the Xbox controller came with my Series X, it feels like a hollow, like shell. Almost. Remember in Easter? I don't know if you guys celebrate Easter, but there's the solid chocolate bunny, and then there was the hollow one. And you got the hollow one. I'm not saying it didn't taste good, but you're like, I wish it was a solid one. So
I remember you.
No, you're right. You're right.
Right.
The Elite 2 has some balls to it.
Yeah, there's weight to it.
Like I feel like I'm handling a man's controller.
Yeah.
Versus the one that comes with the console. It's like it's for kids.
It's like you're holding a real like you're here. You are playing Call of Duty. It's like you're holding a real gun. You know what I mean? There's weight to it. So I'm hoping the DualSense.
Xbox controllers are really, really light.
They're light. You know.
Very light. Exactly. And I love Xbox controllers, but I think the Elite is just elite compared to the ones that come with
Does the Elite come with a rechargeable battery?
Yes. Internal, but you can't swap it out, which I don't like. I like the play and charge kits.
For the version 2,
I do too,
Mooch,
actually,
did they
Kev.
fix the craftsmanship issues? I had the version 1 and the rubber things peeled off, and I was
I
wasn't too happy with that.
I had 2 Elite 1s and I have 2 Elite 2s. It's way better, Gamut, to answer your question. Way better.
Good.
I've had no issues with my
concern I have with the Elite 2, my right bumper went out.
Well, my right, no, okay, I was just going to correct myself. My right bumper went out on one of my Elite 2s, but except for the bumper, but the part that Gamut was saying where that peeling and that the grip has been solid. So
I can co-sign that. I didn't have that problem either when I had the Elite.
yeah. So now getting back real quick, I do want to talk to you guys a little bit about the Capcom showcase because it is a thing, right? It's a thing. This is what happens when we all kind of said goodbye to E3. Now we get these kind of, some of them are really good. Some of them are kind of like Mickey Mouse shows. It's like the Capcom show, I didn't think it was bad. I'll just read off a few here. There was the Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Of course, the one that Street Fighter 6 got a nice little new look. And then there was also, this is the one, Exo Primal, which everyone was looking forward to. And then the minute it was shown, not so much. So, there's a few other games in here too that I have, like Ghost Trick. There was the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection that was talked about. I'm looking here, Resident Evil 4, of course. If I missed anything, I think that was the primary. But what did you guys?
Like 6 games, I think.
Yeah, what did you guys think? Was that Ramon or Gambit? I'm sorry, I didn't see who's.
That was Gambit. That was
Gambit.
I liked it. I think there was like 6 games. I liked 4 of them. I liked just from the clips. Exo Primal's probably it looked like fun, but that's just like we were talking earlier. That looks like another live service game we're gonna have to deal with. It looks like Anthem with dinosaurs to me, honestly. But we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see
I guess
how that works
I
out.
like your Anthem with dinosaurs, but and it's funny because a lot of people bashed. Anthem was not treated correctly by the team, but it was a great game. I think this Exo.
I liked that the combat in that game. There was fun. There was a good game there. If it had the correct support, that game could have been successful.
Yes.
They really nailed the
Yes.
Iron Man feel. They really did.
Yeah.
Yes,
Now, what do
they
you?
did.
So, did
Anthem
anybody
was
else
so
feel
good
like?
outside of the technical
Did
issues.
anybody feel like Exo Primal was going to make a mark or leave a lasting impression? I wasn't feeling that. I felt like that was something that was released on Friday, and by Sunday, people are spelling it wrong and didn't know what you're talking about.
I'll be honest, I'm really pessimistic when it comes to any type of games. Like it could be like the greatest IP franchise in the history of gaming, and if I find out that it's going to be like a live service or games as a service, that instantly kills all my hype for that game. Just because there's how many good versions of that? 1, 2, and 30, 40 come out a year. Everyone's trying to be the next Fortnite. Everyone's trying to be the next Destiny, and nobody is.
Yeah.
So
How many people feel that way? Like, how many people feel that way? Like, how many games do we need to see like fail? Like, I think it's gonna be. I think they're gonna have to wake up and take notice here real quick soon.
I think we're gonna have to go back to having niche games and niche gaming like we used to. Everybody's trying to chase the Call of Duty money, and they've been all trying to like homogenize gaming and take away what's made it unique.
I hope Sony's paying attention, man. You hear those rumors about.
I
hope
I think everybody is paying attention, not just Sony. I need Xbox to pay attention. I need Nintendo to pay attention.
I'm glad you guys are saying this because even the big streamers, you guys know. I mean, I'm probably one of the last people that still says I still watch a lot of the Twitch channels and supporting also people in our community that play on Twitch and YouTube. But you see a lot of these gamers that are big channels. I don't care who you want to talk about. They're getting tired of these. I still enjoy Warzone, but remember, I only get to play it a couple of days a week. These guys are playing it for 10, 12, 13 hours a day for 5-6 days a week, and they've been doing it for the better part of 5-6 years now. So they're really spent on this. They literally changed from Warzone to Apex just for the environmental change, but realistically, their gameplay and everything feels the same. They seem like these games are starting to get very tiresome.
They're cookie cutter, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think it's just the live service games. I think a lot of this is also happening with just general first-person shooters. The arena shooter, it happened for that for a while. Everything tried to be Call of Duty, Halo, Gears. You see that with a lot of third-person action games. They're starting to be homogenized. The open world games, third-person action game with action, adventure, stealth elements.
It's funny. Shout out to JC 2013. That I was just gonna say that. And again, you guys know I'm biased here, so I put that out there. Big Last of Us fan. Can't wait for the season finale on Sunday. But nonetheless, Factions, or whatever they're going to call Factions 2. That's one thing. And shout out to JC. He says, I think Factions might make a splash. The only reason I think he may have something there is it's a unique type of game that is multiplayer. And I don't know if it'll have the legs. I don't know. I know I'll play the hell out of it. And maybe I'll be the only one. And that's fine. But I can't wait to play that game. I played the original Factions for a very long time. Not as much as I play with Warzone, but I just miss it. And it just feels so dated. I went back and played it for a while, went a couple days. Like, I don't know, it was 6 months ago, I went back and played it. And I was like, It was fun, but it feels so dated. It needs to be, new. We need that new
But,
factions.
imagine if it had the Last of Us Part 2 game mechanics, though.
Right, or even that improved Nova. Like, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that and then some.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you're saying, well, Mooch, you're getting greedy with that. That's fine. But I want that and then some. So I'm really looking forward to that. But you guys make a really good point. How about Monster Hunter Rise? Monster Hunter Rise has always been very big, right? It's always done very, very well. This is the new one. This is Sunbreak. So it's coming to all platforms, which is great. But I mean, I'll tell you something. I put about 60 to 70 hours, and I'll double check that, so I'll check myself, into the original Monster Hunter Rise that came out. And I liked it, but for me, it got old. I know people love it and they still play it. And I don't know. The original Monster Hunter, I played the hell out of, not Rise, pardon me, it was Monster Hunter on the Xbox One. And I liked it, but this thing seems to be massive on games like the Switch. And if it's coming to Steam Deck, I'm sure it'll do fine. Are you guys intrigued at all with this? I mean, this was a big name yesterday.
I'm not a Monster Hunter
guy. Yeah, me neither. I'm not big on Monster Hunter.
I've always wanted to try one, but the one thing that keeps preventing me from trying it is I keep hearing they're a really big grind fest, and I just don't have time. I just can't grind like
Monster Hunter was like the original Destiny. Like people would play them on. It was a big Nintendo franchise for years and years and years. It was. I'm glad they went multi-platform, but yeah, like it went hard on like the DS and the 3DS and stuff for years.
Yeah, it's big in Japan, but I think I tried to get into it, but I felt like I was in a college lecture trying to learn. I mean, it could have been just that was the mindset I was in that day. Sometimes I have to try games multiple times because I'm not in the right mood. But I will say I did try Wild Hearts recently. That is kind of like Monster Hunter.
Yes, it is.
I really dig it. So I'm thinking maybe there's something in Monster Hunter that I'm missing, and so I might give this one a try because I do like Wild Hearts. I've been having a good time with that one. And it's really similar. Yeah.
Now this year, it's Wild Hearts is it on all that's on all platforms, I believe, as well, Gamut, correct?
Yeah. It just came out in February. Yeah, it's only been out for a few. It's an EA title. It's EA Motive, I believe.
It does. Well, I can't speak for Wild Hearts, but for Monster Hunter, Ramon makes a point. You do have to dedicate like a part of your life to do it. You know what I mean? Like, and I also recommend.
You also need to become a freaking zoologist and know every single species of animal and their mating habits and what food they want, what time they go to sleep. Like, you literally become a zoologist in this freaking game.
No, shout out to Gemini J. He says Resident Evil 8 in VR is incredible. I only want to play that game in VR. VR has reignited my life of gaming. What a great experience. Shout out to Gemini J. You know, it's funny, not to go back on the VR talk again real quick, but that is... I'm telling you guys, I literally put the helmet on and I got behind the wheel and I played GT. I don't even like simulated game. I've never played the Forzas and the GTs before. This is so much fun. I don't even know how much to start telling you. And then you get into the REAs, and then there's Call of the Mountain, and the kayak game is fun. Like, there's just so many things that are. And it's the one thing about it is, if you've ever been in a rut in gaming, it's a great way to escape that. Sitting on a couch playing the game 2D. It is insane. And maybe the reason
that's why it's important to offer different different experiences on the platform.
And venues, yeah. Well, Worry, the other thing that I said that when me and Crap used to talk about it all the time was I never had a place to play it. I was playing it in my living room, but my coffee table was in the way. And the coffee table weighs a freaking ton. So I couldn't move the furniture. I was kind of like bouncing left and right, and it was like, it just was cumbersome. It wasn't fun. I said on the air, I made an area in the basement so I could actually play. So I brought my PS5 down there and I just hook up the one cable and I'm playing, and it's like there's room to move. I have fun. And
did you do the room scan? The room scan
absolutely.
When you stand up?
Absolutely. I always play standing. That's the other thing. I always play. I mean, that Switchback VR game that you guys saw, I put footage up earlier.
You have to sit.
That I would sit. But every Call the Mountain, I mean, you also sit for GT7.
You have to stand when you play it. I played like the first hour and a half sitting down Call of the Mountain, and when I stood up, it was a completely different experience. It was unbelievable.
No, really standing up is the way to play Call of the Mountain, also RE8. I would also stand up.
Yeah. Yes, I played the demo for that, and that's insane as well. I have to get that.
Yeah,
I played it for a little bit. It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. And a lot of people are talking about GT7, but What about that Pavlov? Have you guys played Pavlov?
Everybody
Holy
I
I don't
know
have
brags
it yet.
about that game thinks
Bro,
it's
if you
it's
go into
amazing.
the shooting range with a shotgun and like just go take a shotgun and shoot a target and just watch what happens, bro. You can see like the singeing. It's still red, glowing on the edges of like it's actually like firing a gun, and because of the triggers, you can pull the slack out. You put it in semiotic mode, and you can pull the slack out of your trigger for nice smooth shots. It's very, very.
I heard it's
like
very
handling
good.
A real weapon.
Shout out to Black Mamba. He says, Mooch, you got to play Pistol Whip. I don't have Pistol Whip. I was told to get that, but isn't something called
I have that one too.
Fire something Ultra coming out soon?
Firewall. Yeah,
Firewall.
Right?
That looks
There's
awesome.
Nova,
a game
isn't that
called
supposed to
After
be
the
the-
Fall, too? It's a zombie survival game. After the Fall.
That's a
it's
good
called.
game. I have that on my PC. That's
You were
good.
telling me about that. I love zombie games, but I figure between
Yeah.
RE8 and the Switchback VR, I'm good right there right now. I wanted to try the Pavlov and Nova. What was the one we were saying there just a second ago? Ultra.
Pistol Whip
Ultra.
is good. Well, that
No,
chat
the
guy,
other one.
He's correct.
What is it called there? Firewall Ultra? I don't know.
Yeah, Firewall
Yep.
Ultra, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
Now
it.
Nova, are you VRing it or no?
Oh yeah, I'm totally VR.
It's
Am
awesome.
I VR in general? Or am I going to VR that game?
No, I'm saying, are you into the VR scene?
Oh yeah. Remember, I was talking earlier about
That's right.
Resident Evil 8 and the way the guns and
Yes,
stuff feel
yes,
in that
yes,
game.
yes, yes.
It's for people that haven't played VR. I know a lot of people think it's a gimmick, and some people they can't tolerate VR. Their body physically won't
That's
tolerate it.
true.
But for the people that just think it's a gimmick and haven't tried it, I don't think you understand that when you're in VR, it is completely different
Yes.
than playing the 2D experience. Horizon Call of the Mountain, even though it's mostly a climbing game, games like that, you see these things, the Thunder Jaws and stuff on the screen. You're like,
Yes.
oh, that's pretty big. And then you see it in Call of the Mountain, you're like, holy crap, that thing is big. The sense of scale, you don't get that in the 2D experience. And then the way I was saying earlier, the way that VR plays tricks on your mind too, with the PSVR 2 specifically, because of the haptics and the adaptive triggers, when you are using things in VR, manipulating things, and you're getting this feedback in your hands and on your head, it tricks your brain into really feeling like you're doing these things. Like physically, like I said earlier, for example, your bow in Horizon Call of the Mountain, you can be holding your bow in your left hand and tap something with the bow, and in game you see it stop, like you can't go past that, but your hand doesn't stop there. But between the haptic feedback and you seeing it stop,
Yes.
it feels like you hit it and that's it, boom, it stopped. Your brain gets tricked. In Resident Evil 8, the shotgun I was saying, when you're firing that on top of the adaptive triggers that feel like an actual trigger, the haptics in the controller that give you that rumble sense, and then of course the rumble and bass in your headphones, the headset itself has that haptics that gives you that feeling of concussion. I don't know if you ever fired real guns. It felt like I was in a gun range firing a real gun.
Yes.
Like it did. That is not an exaggeration. It felt like I was in a freaking gun range
Man,
firing
y'all
a damn
got to
gun.
stop. I'm not ready to spend $800.
Okay.
Ramon, you're gonna have to do it.
It's insane. And the
good.
thing is, that's what PSVR 2. What's it going to be like by the time we get to PSVR 3? This
You know,
shit is only going to get better.
Yes.
The first time that I actually made menu choices with my eyes in Horizon.
Yes.
It's crazy.
That is nuts.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
eye tracking's insane.
Living that Star Trek life now, man. That's what it feels like.
And
you know?
it is.
It's so
Ramon, do you like
fast too, man. So fast.
Ramon, do you
if
like
you guys
first-person
want something to
shooters?
look forward to, there's a game called Lo-Fi. Just everybody I've told people to look. It's coming out for the BR2. It's called Lo-Fi. Just look it up, write it down, look it up later. Everybody I've showed it to has immediately come back asking more questions. It's like Cyberpunk or Blade Runner in VR. That's all I'm going to say.
Is it out already?
Ooh,
No, it's on the
in
way.
development.
It's in
Okay.
development.
So
And it
That's
looks
your question.
Ooh, that looks
amazing.
crazy.
So the one thing that
It
we
looks
haven't even talked about,
amazing.
the haptics in the VR headset are also very is a ton of fun. So there's a couple of off-road courses on GT7 that I've played, and when you are in the certain type of vehicle and you hit like a bump and you land,
Yes.
it's like it's the way that your brain would feel when when you get like a hard hit, if you were to like take off a ramp and then bang, like your head
rattles
shakes, it
you.
rattles your brain.
Y'all trying
Yes,
to
it
get me in
rattles your brain.
trouble, man.
It's crazy, man. It is.
Yeah.
The rally racing in there is a lot.
The
of fun,
rally
'cause it
racing's
does-
amazing.
It just
It's
plays
a lot of
tricks
fun.
with your mind. It makes your mind feel
Oh
or
my
believe
God.
that you're there.
Look at
It's
Ramon.
crazy how good it works.
Ramon's like, hey, I'm so sorry, hon. I spent $800.
Man, y'all, can I come stay with you guys when she puts me in?
You're always
Yes.
welcome over here, Ramon. Oh, great.
Ramon, do you like first-person shooters?
I mean, yes, but I don't like. Then they're not my go-to though. Like I'll play
Okay,
one if there's one interesting.
Okay, I was about to say because the absolute best way to play first-person shooters is in VR.
I can believe that.
It is that immersive.
It really is. And I think I have to agree with Nova. I mean, I really do. Like, if we're at the Pavlov stage now, which I'm not even playing that game, I don't own that game yet, I'm going to get it because there's no way I can't have it. But it's basically COD, right, in VR. And imagine with the PS3, VR3 or whatever, the Quest 3 or the Quest 4 or whatever. Like, it's going to be crazy. It is going to be nuts.
You got a VR question in
VR
chat.
is dead. It's like you guys are insane. This VR, even if it's still niche now, it will be the future of this thing we call gaming. This is the dream. The dream is to be in these games for real. That's the dream.
Yeah.
Does the tracking in VR give you that same sense that you get on mouse and keyboard that you can't get with a controller?
Yeah, because you're actually picking up and pointing.
It's almost 1-to-1. I feel like.
Yeah, I might say it's better.
It's really good.
Point.
Yeah, there's something.
like,
there's something to be
goes
said
damn
for that. Did somebody say there was
I
a
can
question?
play pistol whip, and I'm just nailing headshots. You know what I mean? You're supposed to like. It's like a blend of Beat Saber and Super Hot. You got to like dodge bullets, and you get bonus points for shooting to the music. So like, you're not really taking the time to aim, but you could just line that shit up in your brain and just start snapping it off.
Make sure nobody's recording you playing pistol whip. You look insane probably in your house.
I've heard stories. I told the wife she's not allowed to do that.
You're like,
See how it goes.
no phones allowed in the room.
Another good VR game. I don't know if it's on the PSVR 2, but if you're getting to boxing, Creed Rise to Glory.
Creed 3, with some special edition is coming to PSVR at a later date. So yeah, it will be coming. Same with Beat Saber's coming at a later date.
I know. Listen,
Beat Saber is my jam.
So Beat Saber, I know
love
this
Beat
is
Saber.
it's you call it corny, call it whatever you want. On my Quest 2, dude, it was one of the first games I bought was Beat Saber, and I gotta say, no joke. Even when I was done playing another game, I would go back and play at least 2-3 rounds of Beat Saber. Like I definitely
Dance Revolution for your hands.
That looks so
Nova.
much fun.
I played
so
Beat Saber
much
today
fun.
for like 45 minutes on my lunch break.
Dude, the absolute second that's for sale for PSVR 2, it's owned. That's just as simple as it gets. Now I'm waiting to see. I know everybody says this. I'm hoping by the end of this year, around Christmas, we see a Half-Life Alyx on PSVR 2. That would be nice.
I'm still confused as to why that was not a launch title.
I don't either.
Especially with the Sense controllers that have
contracts.
all the requirements needed to make that game.
They got to cut a
be
deal,
100%
Nova.
portable.
Maybe that's why they're still having.
Is Valve still pushing their own headset?
I mean,
Is
that's what I'm
Valve
about to say.
still
Valve,
pushing a headset of their own right now?
yes, and they're working
That's why.
on another one, the
That's
wireless one. That's
That's
rumored they're working on the wireless one. That's why I think they haven't.
Yeah.
I would love to see it. I played it at my friend's house. He has an Oculus, and it is very impressive. I'm
Half-Life
sure
Alyx is
PlayStation
great.
could throw some money at him, though.
Well, that's the thing. Throw the money at them. Get that deal done. I'll tell you, you start
Absolutely.
advertising Half-Life Alyx this holiday for PSVR 2. I'm telling you, with those effects and the way that game, the visuals, oh my God, that thing is going to sell like hotcakes.
Yes.
The HDR and then the VR2, it's good, man. The other thing is the clarity of the VR2.
Yes. And you know what's funny?
In Horizon, you can literally take your hand, and I was trying to test it. I was getting as close to my eye as I could get with the hand, and to see the detail, it's crazy how
But
close
Nova-
you can get to your eye.
Nova, you
and
got to
still see everything
tell
clear.
you got to tell the audience though. The one thing a lot of people don't know, and I've watched enough videos on it now, and I've played it enough now. There's a way that you have to wear the headset though to get that clarity. You have to have
Every
that
time.
Yes, every time.
Yeah, well, there's because of the type of lenses that the VR2 has. There's a very small sweet spot. I mean,
Yes.
so you know when you have to adjust first of all for your what do they call it? I forgot what it's called, but moving the lenses,
The lens
in or
scope,
out.
yeah, the lens
to the
width.
retractile,
to
width.
yeah, whatever. it
see
is.
where your eyes are, and then up or down. But once you're in that area where it's not blurry, you get a little bit of screen door effect sometimes, and sometimes if you're really paying attention for it, you can still see the pixels.
What I found
but
is
a
that
lot of
back
time
part,
it just melts away, man.
that back part, if
Yeah.
you adjust, has to be all the way down to where, like, almost
Yep.
where your head and your neck meet,
That's
and that'll
the
pivot
secret.
up. That'll pivot up the front of the
Yep.
the VR
That's-
headset. Then it becomes
and
They
instant.
have
clear.
good software.
Worry's right.
It comes with good software to help you line it up.
Yeah.
It does, but I'm saying like Worry's right. You do want to have that as far right where your head meets your neck. That is, you put that down there so that it's resting up on your top of your forehead. And I think that's is that. I mean, do you guys agree? I've watched enough videos on it. That's where I've got
put
the
it
best.
like where you get like tension headaches. That's where I put the dial, and then the bottom of your skull, and then I angle it up on my forehead, so it's like at an angle, like he was saying. He's correct.
Yeah. No, it's honestly, guys, like I say, and Ramon's like, as we speak, Ramon's just probably ordering the damn PSVR 2 to his house right now. I mean, it's good.
I mean,
It's the cab.
worst case scenario, if you're on the fence, just find a friend or someone you know who has one. It's a thing that if you think that it's just a gimmick, that it's not worth experiencing, I'm telling you right now, you're 100% wrong. And at least do yourself the favor of experiencing. Because I'll tell you right now, there's a thing in Horizon called the Mountain. It's just like a boat ride that you can do. It's not even the game. It's just a little boat ride. You sit in the boat ride and you see dinosaurs do their things. And it is no different than me being at Universal Studios riding the freaking Transformers ride or the Spider-Man ride.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Is there something? Is there an actual different part of the game?
There's a mode
I didn't know that either.
Once
Like
you
a
get to
theme
a certain
park.
point, when you walk into one of the buildings, there's a little model of the boat. You can pick it up, and then you can ride. It's just like a little river adventure, and then you can always access it from the main menu. So if you have family members that have never experienced VR,
Yeah.
they don't want to be able to fumble with the controllers. That's what you do. You throw on Horizon Call the Mountain. You go to I forgot what it's called. It's like some safari boat ride. I forgot what the name is. You pick that from the main menu. You have them just sit down. And the boat ride, the boat goes through the river, and the dinosaur robots are fighting each other, and there's all kinds of chaos and pandemonium, and that you let them experience that because that's going to be the best way for them to experience what VR is.
Nova, you just single-handedly made the weekend. Because my daughter, I definitely wanted to try it out. I wanted to give it a shot, and I know she's not going to want to sit there and flail around. Like that would be perfect. Nova, you just made my weekend. That's awesome.
It's like
Thank you.
maybe
That's
a
very cool.
5-minute, 6-minute, just
that's all you
sit
need.
down. And like I said, it is no different than if you went to Universal Studios, spent a lot more money to go ride one ride there because the sense that you get is the same.
Yeah, great. Listen, I'm not kidding. I was joking before, but we really do learn something every week on Crossfire. It's fantastic. Nova, that's awesome, man. Thank you for that knowledge. I did promise these guys that I'd get them out of here by 9:30. So I want to say thanks to everybody here. Guys, before all of you leave, please hit the like button. I know that's I've been asking. I always do it in the chat. I don't do it verbally enough. I probably should be vocal more often. But nonetheless, I want to say thanks to everybody here. Thanks to this great panel. Thanks to the great chat. Thanks to the super chat. By the way, Gemini J came back. He said VR is what we dreamt about in childhood. So shout out to Gemini J. He's not wrong.
Absolutely.
Really, really appreciate everybody. I'll go in reverse order here and say the great, glorious Kev. Kev, I know that you were working or you were coming from work or there was a situation and you still made the show. So I really appreciate it, Kev. Thanks for being here tonight. Let people know where they can find you.
Oh, of course, I always love coming here, but yeah, I'm on the West Coast, so when you start, it's like 5 o'clock here,
Fact.
or 4 o'clock here when you
4
start.
o'clock, yeah.
But yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter or on YouTube at Glorious Kev. I do primarily do videos on Steam Deck stuff, PC stuff, but I love games. I just prefer PC. And while we're on the conversation of VR too, I'm hoping that we can get a developer to listen. I need House of the Dead remake in VR.
Yes.
Nice. Great call. That's a zombie movie or a zombie game I want to play. Or is it vampires, actually?
Or even
Is it-
Time
is it-
Crisis.
Time Crisis would also
is
be
another
nice.
great one.
Yes.
Get all those light rail games that we used to play, or light gun games that we used to play in the arcade in like the 80s and 90s. Get them all in VR. Remake them, put them all in VR.
Yeah, I can't agree more. Shout out to Gemini J. He goes, Mooch, you didn't read my super chat. I did. I probably just didn't come through yet on the delay, but I did read it, Gemini J, and I appreciate your super chats. I really, really do. Thank you. Kev, great points there. I'll go over and say thank you so much to Gamers Gamut. Gamer, I got to be honest with you, great having you on the show tonight, buddy. It was this was actually one of the most chill, relaxed Crossfires we've had in a long time, and I got to say, great having you on for this first time. Gamut, let people know where they can find you, and I appreciate you being here tonight.
Yeah, I just wanted to extend a thank you to you again and the panel. It's been great. The conversation was awesome. Yeah, you can find me at Gamers Gamut over on YouTube or at Gamers Gamut YT over on Twitter. I like to review games here and there. Like our last guest said, I just love video games. I'm a PlayStation guy, but I love Xbox too. If there's a good game, I'm going to try to be there. So my dream is for Xbox to relive the glory days and get back to where they were in the 360 generation and have PlayStation and Xbox go head to head and fight for our wallet, because the PlayStation we know now came from the 360 generation and the pressure that was created there. So we all win. We all win if you let them fight each other, and let's just sit back and enjoy all these games.
No, well said. Well said. And actually, shout out to the great, appreciate that, Gamut. Great to have you on the show. Shout out to the great Ryan Landis. He goes, Mooch, you doing it? We are doing The Last of Us reaction season finale Monday night. I'm going to have an all-star panel. It's going to be a lot of the folks that we had. It is going to be great, Supernova. I can't wait, but I'm very, very excited for that. But Ryan, thank you for reminding me to let everybody know Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be doing that show. The great Ramon was with us tonight. Ramon, you know, it's funny. Knowing you for a very long time, chat and always talk on Twitter. Great to finally have you on CrossFire as well as Gamut tonight. Ramon, let people know where they can find you. And don't be shocked. Do not be shocked if the Mooch symbol shows up again for you to show up on the show. I appreciate you being here tonight.
Oh man, it's been a pleasure to be here. Like listening to the show for the longest time.
Thank you.
And just it's kind of funny how things come full circle, because the first time I listened to Crossfire, which was I think a few years ago, I'm a peace and quiet kind of guy, so I was just like, man, this dude's kind of loud. And then
who's yelling?
Yeah, who's yelling? And then I kept listening because the show was so engaging, and you as a host are absolutely amazing, and I mean that. And then the next thing I know, I'm listening every week, and then one day I'm pulling in from the garage, and my wife's in the garage, and she's like, who's that? Because she can hear you through the car with the windows up. But then and then she has to hear me talking about Crossfire every week. So then when I told her that I got the invite today, she was just like, have fun.
Yeah,
she already
fun
knew.
with
like,
that.
She already knew. So
she's like, protect your ears. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just great to finally be on the show.
Great, man.
For those of you who want to find me, Twitter, Ramon _ Terrell. If you like to read epic fantasy or even vampires and werewolves, I have a series in that as well as epic fantasy, like Brandon type stuff, Ari Salvatore. So just Ramon Terrell and you can stuff. And love games. And y'all trying to get me in serious trouble with VR, but one day I will get it when I have a grand Canadian for it. And thanks again.
Hey, appreciate it.
If you want a good VR experience, you don't want to break an arm and a leg, wait for the Quest 3 to come out. It's standalone. It'll be good enough.
It'll be good enough. It'll probably still hit them for still be 500, 600 here in the States, which will be 800, 900 in Canadian.
Yeah,
exactly. I hope not.
Oh yeah.
The exchange rate is stupid.
The exchange rate's nuts.
I pay $90. I pay $90 for current gen games. So you can believe that's.
Yeah,
I have a hard time with 70.
Don't get Kev
every time
going.
somebody complains about $70, I'm like, man, I wish.
Kev's a glorious mooch. That's what he is. He loves his free games. The great Kev, by the way, outstanding. I love it. As a mooch, I respect you, Kev.
Shout out to Nintendo, all the glorious freeware. I'm enjoying that Mario Kart DLC, and I haven't had a Switch in months.
Love it, Kev. No, what I wanted to say was it's funny that Ramon tells that story. I'll tell a quick story real quick. Like me and Crap would be doing M&C. It'd be on my channel. People would come to the show and they would be like, "Who the hell is this guy who keeps screaming on the show?" And I would play along. I would be in the chat being like, "I don't know who the hell this guy is, but he's got to get the hell off this goddamn channel." And we would go back and forth. The Crap got a kick out of it, but it was me. Nonetheless, I want to say thanks
You're
to
like
both
the
of you.
Bruce Buffer of podcasting, man. You got that radio voice. Bro,
I appreciate that.
No, he does. He's got a real good voice for radio for sure.
No, I appreciate that, Nova. I always thought when we were starting this and back in 2014, I thought WNBC would be giving me a call. I never got that call yet. I'm still waiting for it, or even Sirius I'd take. But no, shout out to the Roundtable. I won best voice, so I'll take that. Or best radio voice or best podcasting voice. That was a great. I appreciate the nominee and the win. I really do. That means a lot to me. It means a lot to get on here and do this every week, and that you guys appreciate it. It's why I love to do it. So thank you so much, Ramon. I appreciate that. The great, I was going to say, Gaming Supernova. The man is here himself. Nova, honestly, it's always an honor to have you on the show, and we've got to have you back on again. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, anytime, man. My schedule's pretty open considering the fact that I'm disabled, so I don't work. I'm sitting at home on disability, so yeah, anytime.
We need a game then, Nova. That's what we got to do, buddy. You, if you're available this weekend, we are doing some VR gaming. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah, sure.
All right, I will be.
I think I sent you my PSN.
Yeah, I have
last
it.
week.
I believe I thought we linked up. If we didn't, I'm going to link up right after the show. So I'll tell you that much. No, Nova, great to have you here, buddy. Let everybody know where they can find you. And as always, man, just outstanding takes. Love your fire. Love the heat you bring. You do it on social media and you do it on YouTube. So please, whatever you do, I'm subscribed to your channel. So I love when you do your rants. Keep them coming. Let people know where they can find you.
Appreciate it. Well, I'm also originally from New York and half Italian, so that's what that.
That's what it is.
But Supernova Gaming on YouTube or Gaming Supernova, so it's backwards on Twitter, and it's Supa is SUPA Nova, not Supernova, like when a star explodes. Yeah.
Love it, Nova. Thank you so much. And the great Worry Ward 73. Worry, I got to be honest with you. I'm kind of like stupefied here, man. You legitimately were like, I'm going to be here at 8:30. You were here for the beginning of the show. I really appreciate that. I love your take. Not going to say why, but I can't wait till May or June when we can get even more Worry Wart on the channel. So Worry, let people know where they can find you, buddy. I love the videos you're doing. You're very dedicated. And I know you don't want to say that you'll agree to this, but your Twitter takes are blowing up, and I love it. So keep them coming, and let people know where they can find you, bud. Thanks.
YouTube, WorryWarGamer, Twitter, WorryWarGamer, and hopefully here, maybe in a little while.
Please, everybody, root for June. Nonetheless, I do want to say thanks to everybody. The Great Basement Radio Arcade Podcast had to leave, but he does BRAP on Wednesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Pardon me for that. I'm getting hungry. That's why. Mooch gets hungry. I don't talk as smoothly as I usually do. Shout out to Xbot448 as well. He's Xbot448 everywhere. And the great gaming _Forte, who did DPS podcast with Slow-Mo. Slow-Mo was going to be here tonight, but he'll be back with us next week. So shout out to Slow-Mo as well. And guys, honestly, have a great weekend. There's a lot to do. RE4 demo. Try Forspoken on sale. VR. Do what you got to do, man. It's just a great weekend to be gaming. Hope to see you guys next Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern for the reaction show, The Last of Us season finale. I really can't wait. It's going to be a lot. Great guests. We'll see you then. Hit the like button and subscribe button on the way out. We'll see you next Friday. Peace out.